Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Here's the 2-1, and this is lifted high in the air. This ball's tearing deep out into right center field, and it is out of here. Shonowell connects the first batter of the game, and the Angels are up 1-0.
1-1. Vientos gets into one to left field. Hilliard racing back to the track at the wall. It is gone. 8 rows back in left. Mark Vientos turns on a ball, jumps it into left, and the Mets are now up 7-0 in the fifth against the Colorado Rockies.
And now Guerrero sends one on a ride out towards right field. It's back at the wall. It's over and gone. Into the Baltimore bullpen. Vladimir Guerrero with a 2-run home run.
3-1. High fly ball, deep right. Going back is Laureano. Looking up. It is gone. Jackson Churiel. Major League Baseball has been put on notice.
I mean, being a part of the Nebraska Athletics Hall of Fame is probably one of the most prestigious honors I've ever been able to receive. Obviously, Nebraska is near and dear to my heart and always will be, and look forward to, one, being able to come back to Lincoln and celebrate with all the beautiful people and friends and family. So I'm excited to be able to see my kids see the great university. Haven't been there in a year or so, and now they're at an age where they can soak it up and actually understand what's all going on. So I'm excited about the overall accomplishment and award, and looking forward to being able to get back to Lincoln.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Here at the Pinnacle Bank Championship, we'll call it the mobile pillar exterior stage. What's up, DB?
Hi, how are we doing?
We're doing all right.
Just a little bit more appropriately this morning, so it's good.
Not any warmer, though. I'm going to be honest with you.
It's actually significantly colder, but there's no wind.
That helps.
That's I'm totally cool. Like, I can roll.
And we got a little sunshine.
Yeah. My shoulder makes me happy. I don't even know if you know that song.
I am aware of that song. I probably couldn't give you any more words.
I think it's Jonathan Denver, maybe.
Oh, I know John Denver.
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
That's like my mom's people's type of music.
Yo, so what are you trying to say?
Iowa. People from Iowa like
that. Guy could hit that 3-wheel motion? It's only 3 wheels on that thing.
Think you might be able to think you're doing wheelies on that thing?
Yeah, they see me rolling. Yeah, he's moving.
He is. About as fast as that lawnmower can go.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, it beats walking.
It does. That's a hill, too.
Yeah. That's the funny thing about golf, like walking around the courses all the time. And I remember when we were at another golf course here in the area for the Senior Open, like, walking is interesting because it's definitely more than you think. I think it's underappreciated.
Oh, yeah. I think...
the whole Martin thing, and everybody was like, oh, why would he need a cart? I'm like, shoot, man, walking is, like, part of the deal.
Man, I actually met that dude, Casey Martin, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he...
That dude, he says.
Well, he actually came to my church to speak when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it was... Yeah, I remember it being a whole thing about...
You'd think you'd be a lot nicer. A lot of your formative years and your memories were shaped by your evangelical experience, but somehow it like got away from you.
You metal? Never mind.
It's too early for all that.
So I pivoted like that 3-wheel. No, it's for real. I will not walk 18. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
It's too much.
So
I'll walk 9. I'll do a 9. I'm not walking 18.
So has this always been the case? Because I know in Indy you were not very happy with me.
For what?
But it was really your fault.
What?
I don't know. We were after like our 6th lap of walking around the stadium, and you're like,
"Oh no, I wasn't mad at you."
Yeah, I'm good. And I was like, "Well, we're kind of in this dilemma because of you."
Yeah, no, I get that. I wasn't. No, that was just my general demeanor at the time. I'm telling you, like, my entire goal, like at a certain point, like I was disassociating so hard mentally.
Yeah.
Because my entire goal was
just get through it.
You cannot poop your pants in public. That was the only thing. And I would take it, like we talk about with the Huskers, they break it down into little victories and little things. First one was like, do not poop your pants in front of Coach Rule. That was number 1. And then it was like, all right, do not poop your pants in front of Isaac Gifford.
I wasn't even going to go into detail about what took getting down there so long.
It was terrible. It was awful.
I'm like, how are we stopping 5 times and you're using the facility every
single time? It was a miracle we only had to stop 5 times the way it went after that. I'm telling you, that night, it was every hour like clockwork.
I'm good.
I was not good.
Internally, I was steaming. I mean, just miserable.
Listen, under normal circumstances, I may have cared what you thought.
Yeah.
But at this point, it was like,
I could tell.
We're not, we don't have the mental capacity to care about not pooping ourselves and what DB thinks at the same time.
The cussing tirade in the vehicle further let me know you were having none of it.
That was maybe the best I felt the entire trip was during that. It wasn't really a tirade. It was more of a lesson in adjectives.
Yeah, it was a different kind of release.
Yeah. Yeah, we were trying not to have the other kind.
This dude is on a roll.
That's yeah, I am Mike, I am rocking the stocking cap in August. It's cold out here, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, look at K Bizzle. He's over there kind of huddled up.
He's bundled up. I listened from yesterday. I got some gloves in here if I need to.
Well, these guys are all
they
hoodied
know.
up. He's double hoodied.
Yeah, the workers out here, the people taking great care of the course, they're more bundled up than we are. So
yeah, it is crucial conflict, but not again. I'm gonna go ahead and say this.
Yeah,
knowing it's 20 degrees. It's 18 to 20 degrees colder this morning. It's better than yesterday.
Oh, 100%. The wind was awful.
Yeah.
The wind was no good. But we're out here, and it's supposed to warm up today to a nice, pleasant temperature to be out on the golf course.
What are we at? 78, I saw?
Yeah, I think mid to upper 70s, which is that's a great day in August, just not at 7 a.m.
I'll take it every day.
100%. I probably wouldn't choose to sit out here for 3 hours before it gets to that temperature, but we're doing it. We're out here.
We need Spectrum snowballs to be able to do their thing. How about the tutorials yesterday on all the brilliant people with shaved ice?
Yeah, that apparently it's
about 26 messages. But that's what I like, though. If I have a question, folks will.
Oh, you'll get an answer.
Oh yeah.
You may not
just throw something out there.
You'll definitely get an answer.
Hey, this whole Fields, Russell Wilson thing. What's going on? And I'll get it's just a rhetorical question.
Well,
I get about 46 answers.
It's hard to tell a rhetorical question sometimes. I was thinking about Mike Tomlin yesterday.
Why?
Well, so as you know, the sports television machine has insisted on talking about Fields versus Wilson.
It's crazy. It's
every day.
It's crazy for a team that's not even picked to win their division.
Yeah, so
I don't even see anybody have them second.
It's incessant. It's all the time. Probably because Russell Wilson's kind of clickbaity, I guess. But it made me start thinking about Mike Tomlin.
Mm.
And we're talking about.
Folks love to wave. Boy,
they do. We're big wavers around here. It's the Midwest, man. I did learn that in my evangelical upbringing. Just give them a little wave.
That's gonna stick.
But I'm thinking about Mike Tomlin, because obviously the head coach in that situation has to be equipped to handle the circus, right? And I was like, okay, Mike Tomlin probably is. And then it struck me, and this is a weird place for my head to go since I'm not really I'm not a Steelers fan or anything. But
wait, you're not?
No.
Oh,
I mean, they're fine.
Yeah.
I feel like about the Steelers the way I do about Nebraska's running backs. They're fine.
Wow.
But I'm thinking about Mike Tomlin, and it dawned on me. I was like, how many good years did that guy get out of Antonio Brown?
7.
Yeah. Which, the way that thing crashed and burned immediately after he leaves,
yeah.
I kind of just thought to myself, I was like, yeah, I think Mike Tomlin's going to be fine here.
That might not even, that was probably one of his biggest claims to fame. But I mean, he kept Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah,
Bay,
that's a good one.
Le'Veon Bell was extra pretentious and high maintenance.
I don't think early.
He had both those guys at the same time.
Yeah, which is
he also had a wide receiver that could not do the right thing, not named Antonio Brown, that got himself kind of drugged out of the league too. So, I mean, and that was Bryant. So it was like,
well, and then you also had Yeah, didn't he overlap? Did he overlap with Plaxico before that too?
No.
Yeah, that was
You're in the Cower years.
okay. But and then you've got
It's only 4 guys I got to remember. So it's
coaches ever.
yeah, that's
A little
fine.
easier. That wasn't in the Knoll era.
Pretty easy.
But and then it's not like early career Big Ben was super easy to deal with either.
No, that was bathroom. We used to call him Bathroom Ben.
Yeah, he had his own issues and so I'm just kind of like, okay, it's probably not a big deal internally, at least not to the degree that Mike Greenberg would have you believe.
Present. I can't do his voice this morning, but yeah, all of them. I get it though. This quarterback race is pretty unique though, because
for the NFL for sure. Yes.
Because it's no present. There's no he should start because of this much money, or he was drafted here, or
they're both basically free for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's like John Butler being at Nebraska. It's a blank slate for everybody. Clean slate. Yeah, blank. Let's go blank because something clean is a relative term. But so I mean, and I'm out of town tonight. Be driving back by myself, man. So if you can, pray for me.
Where you?
I'll be in Stanton.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Yeah,
Stanton.
I got a booster club event.
Great northeast corridor of Nebraska.
Yeah, so I'll leave. We got player meetings after school, and then I'm out.
Yeah, heading up there.
Yes, sir. They're like, hey, there's a social at 5:30, and I was like, social.
I was like,
social.
DB and social.
Social. No, I'm just
Good words.
I'm just serious.
Fresh. Yeah. No, I'm just serious. No, so I'll probably be the only guy in Omaha, Nebraska, pre-recording or adding to the library a preseason game.
Yeah, I don't know if I have mine set up to automatically record all NFL games, and I don't know if that counts preseason or not.
How many things can I hold? Because I looked at my library. That didn't sound right.
I was like,
whatever.
Okay.
Cam is a child. For a guy that looks so mature and fatherly, he laughs at a lot of little kid jokes.
Half the time when Cam's here, I'm just making jokes because I know he's going to laugh.
Yeah, he's good. But because I feel like my library has a lot in it.
What service do you have?
RIP to Swanson on 90th, but I have YouTube. I have YouTube TV.
Yes, you've got unlimited DVR.
Unlimited?
Yeah, that's their thing.
Oh,
YouTube TVs. I think Hulu's trying to do it now too, but
you'd think I would know that.
That's the reason I got YouTube TV in the first place.
I have through like season 25 alone of SVUs. Season 25, like episode 24, and that might be exactly what I'm on. I mean, that's a lot of, not to mention Criminal Minds.
Yeah, it's really dialed into that serial killer stuff.
Big Ten Today. There's a curveball for you.
You got Mindhunter on there too. And what other serial killer stuff do you have?
That was top 2 or 3 series that I watched, and I watched it because Schaefer told me to.
Was that a Netflix deal?
Yeah. That and Bosch were two of the early ones that I sat through.
Yeah,
because I never saw The Sopranos or anything like that.
Sopranos is pretty good. I don't know if you'd like it if you don't like.
I love when it pops up on my TikTok.
Oh, you'd probably.
It's extremely interesting.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I watched Richie Aprile get shot in the chest.
Whoa, spoilers, man.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Janice killed him.
It's like 27 years old. It's fine.
Yeah, that man got one slap.
It's one warning.
You're in a gut-school situation. And she methodically walked back to get the gun too. So she thought about it. Yeah, it wasn't
that's not a crime of passion.
No.
That's you got one strike.
Yeah. Should have listened to Tony. He said, What are you doing? You want to put some pants on? Hey, come in, I'm making breakfast. Yeah, you're gonna probably die at some point. I thought it was gonna be by the hands of Tony, but
listen, that's the great curveball. It's like, oh man, Janice might be more cutthroat than Tony is.
Yeah, welcome to 2024 in August, where we're talking about The Sopranos.
Well, listen, it's we got lots.
But I am DVRing the Steelers game tonight.
You should.
I didn't see much last night that I was wowed by, but I'm not one of those guys. I know full well what I'm getting with preseason week 1 football. It's not gonna be scintillating. That
didn't stop the Twitterverse from freaking out about our guy Joe Milton.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, that was started.
Yeah.
On Get Up and First Take, and NFL Network
Well,
and
I
like
asked
morning
Cynthia
shows.
about it a couple days ago
Yeah.
because that had been talked about, that they're talking about Joe Milton over Drake May and whatever. And then it's week 1. It's a nothing burger in terms of who he's playing against. Guys, he's playing against guys that aren't going to make rosters for the most part.
Yeah. And it's pretty homemade vanilla bean, right? So,
but people are going to freak out when they see.
Yeah, he's talented.
And that's kind of the Joe Milton experience, right?
So conversely, on the other end, because it was blacked out, so I had to go to my NFL Network thing. I'm watching Malik Hooker,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, I think that was part of the pre-meetings, because you know how you have production meetings? Yep. Hooker must have been one of the guys talked about in the meetings, because the infatuation with Hooker last night, for a team that was down double digits by the time he got into the game,
mm-hmm.
was incredible. And I was like, this guy's just going to dominate the rest of these storylines, right? Like, it was incredible.
It's like some of those games you're basically kind of doing like a recap of if that team had Hard Knocks, right? Like in the production meetings, like all these whether it's the feel good stories or the breakout players.
Weren't the Bears just on this time up?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, Vrzal, he said yes.
I don't really dial into Hard Knocks that much. That's not really my cup of tea.
I dabble.
I'm kind of like you with The Sopranos. I see it on TikTok a bunch.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I stop there. But this Joe Milton thing was the most predictable outcome of kind of this whole week leading up to it, right? Whereas, hey, he's been talking about on the morning shows, and then he comes in against guys that aren't going to make an NFL roster, probably going to end up in the CFL or the UFL, and tears it up. He has like 4 good plays, right? He doesn't even tear it up, right? But you see it on TikTok, you see it on Twitter, and all of a sudden Joe Milton's the second coming.
He is kind of freaky.
He's a freak talent, right? But
but it's not like he's a unicorn, because I just saw him a year and a half ago. And that guy's getting ready to start in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Who played a few games and has a 7 touchdowns to 1 interception ratio and a very, very small window that has everybody gushing in Indianapolis. And that guy's name's Mr. Richardson.
Which it kind of goes to the whole Joe Milton experience, though, right? Is the reason he wasn't selected 4th overall is, despite all of his talent, is he's never been able to put it all together, right?
Yeah.
He had Michigan, he had opportunities at Michigan, he had opportunities at Tennessee, and I think he was in college. I think he was a 6-year guy. He was there for a very long time. Was never really able to, like, if he had been able to put anything on tape that resembled that, because let's not pretend that Anthony Richardson's Florida career was blowing the world on fire.
Right? He was getting comparisons to outside of the athleticism, but the short duration in which he did it. Mm-hmm. He was giving people Mark Sanchez vibes.
Yeah. And I think Mark Ciancia started more than he did. Yeah. And so, like, that's kind of I think it's cool to watch Joe Milton. I think it's cool to watch these guys that are late round guys that rise up and kind of have good preseasons. But this is exactly the problem with Joe Milton is you're like, it's in there. I just don't know if anybody can get it out.
Yeah, it was just crazy how that was a thing. And how about we're burying the lead? I don't know if you pay attention to the broadcast, but is Golden Tate going to be a thing? I didn't think anybody in the NFL liked Golden Tate.
I didn't either.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe this is like the redemption tour.
Yeah, his redemption arc.
They start him close to home with online stuff.
Yeah,
and then maybe
progress him a little. Yeah, baby step it.
There are a lot of his peers in the NFL that don't have very many good things to say about Golden Tate.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
He wasn't too bad though.
No, I didn't notice him in a negative way, which is usually all I can say about. It takes an outstanding broadcast for me to be like, oh man, that was a really great broadcast. Most broadcasts kind of reach me on a neutral level, which is fine. I'm okay with. You just don't want to be.
So you had to be gushing over the Olympics then.
Which one?
Because Eagle was losing his mind.
Well, yes.
And it was your guy, so you had to be like, I'm all in on this broadcast. I think this is fantastic.
My guy Wardell Stephen Curry, the third. I think he's just junior.
But it is, you're right, though, about exhibitions and things like that. The broadcast kind of gets lost because it is about the storylines. It's not about the guts of the game.
Yeah, because after, especially early in preseason, you're talking about real football for maybe 2 series tops.
And by the way, I'm going by Steph too. Those are my choices.
Wardell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, his dad, he could have gone by Dell like his dad did. He could have been Dell Jr.
I'm cool.
He could have been, I would have just gone by War.
Yeah, even if I had it to do over again, if I could get myself to have kids, I don't think I'd go with the junior.
No, not a junior guy?
Nope.
I feel like if you are.
I was barely a Nebraska guy, let alone having to walk around with it all the time and be a junior. God.
I feel like if you're a third or later down the line, you're kind of obligated to keep it going. But if you're a senior or junior, no need to start that business.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I do know a guy that's going to have to name his kid the 5th.
Yeah, that's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on there, and we're not really passing down, British titles anymore. So there's a lot, man.
It is.
It's a lot of generations.
Yeah,
that's a bunch of generations.
I got a buddy, Abe Hoskins, who has, I think, 3 or 4
generations.
Yeah. I think there's a Abe Hoskins, a 4th.
One of my buddies. Well, it's his brother-in-law, sister and brother-in-law. He's the 4th, so we call him Quattro.
That's something I would do.
Freaking bats.
Childish.
Listen, I think it's a good nickname. Quattro is a great nickname, man. It sounds cool. Just out here.
Oh man, I thought you would lose your flipping mind. Not one text yesterday about the Olympics.
I'll be honest, I was having some indigestion about. I was worried. I was worried that not like I was an indie indigestion. I was having.
You seem very hurt right now. You're gonna be all right.
Indigestion yesterday.
Dude, I think we need to change all those preservatives you knock out with frozen foods, man. Get back to cooking at the house.
That hasn't happened in like a decade, and I've been fine until like a month ago. So I don't think they're related.
Indigestion.
No, it was a metaphorical.
So I
thought they were going to lose. That's why I was.
And I had to leave for a little bit because all of a sudden, another reason why, kids versus no kids is a good debate.
Yeah,
is school pickup.
I don't think it's a debate. You guys are.
So I'm going back to picking up Micah, right at the high school. It's like I thought I was there for a while.
No, sir.
And I was reintroduced to how rude people are, but it was just freshmen, so it was a lot of new parents that don't really understand protocol. So that was something altogether different.
Oh yeah.
So I was gone from like the middle of the second quarter,
okay,
almost to halftime, to halfway through the third.
Okay.
So I'm having to listen without watching because I didn't play it on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I just was like, yeah, let me just enjoy the sweet dulcet tones of what's going on with this broadcast. And so when I got home, that was the first thing I did was turn the television back on. And USA had just cut it to 7 with about 6:15 to play, maybe.
Yeah.
Right around, not that I remember numbers. But yeah, LeBron had just made it a driving layup to cut it to 5, I think.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, wow. The spirit of rooting for your country is back on. We hate on everybody else. It doesn't matter if it's Lyles or Biles or Bowles, anything but USA basketball. We cannot be united.
But USA basketball, we're all patriots.
Let's go.
Coming up next, we'll set up the show and we'll have more Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, at the Pinnacle Bank Championship. Make sure you come down and visit the fine folks at the Hurrdat Harbor on hole 17 later in the day. And that's
anytime after 10 is cool.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. I was trying not to make it super obvious, DB, but that's all right. Just go ahead and say the quiet part out loud.
Well, you're a big fan of that. It's kind of your go-to.
If you're wondering why you're seeing DB's torso, it's cold out. He's trying to stay warm.
Wait, Cam, can they only see my torso? That's kind of, it's kind of weird.
I get a little bit of your head get
okay.
off, but yeah, you're kind of mostly in frame.
Sorry, Cam.
It's so cold out here.
Yeah, I can get away with this lunacy without Sasha back. When we're at the Pillar studio, or she's like, do this, do that, do this, don't do that. Stop freezing your camera on purpose. Like, I can't get away with any of my shenanigans there, but here, like a regular free-for-all.
It is a free-for-all. It's cold out because DB's wearing pants.
Yeah.
That's how we know. I was like, oh, it's chilly.
Yeah, and that goes against everything I believe. I mean, relative to shorts.
Back to that evangelical upbringing, right, DB?
Wow. I'm going to own every shot that comes after that because I brought up I brought up the Christian upbringing.
That's true. That's totally on me.
It's on me. I'll own it for the rest of the show.
Let's get Cody. He's on the line. Wanted to continue our talk with the Olympics a little bit. What's up, Cody?
How's it going, gentlemen?
Commander Cody.
What's going on, boys?
How are you?
Hey, first question I have for you, Damon.
Yes.
You have the old Matt Vrzal uniform.
What's that?
You cut out there, bud.
Are you doing the old Matt Vrzal deodorant on the lake?
No. I broke down and wore pants. I'm kind of mad at myself. I gave in. I just didn't feel like battling the elements unnecessarily because it's going to be hot in the day, and I didn't, I don't want all that body temp change and worry about being sick. I haven't been sick in 54 years, so I'm just like, I gutted it and put the pants on.
There you go. Hey, everyone keeps talking about this basketball game. We don't talk about the heart attack of the USA girls volleyball game.
So it seems like they just go along to get along until they have to. Like they're living in it's been dangerous.
Yeah, the best part is it's been somebody different every game that has stepped up.
Yeah, little versatility. How'd you feel about that 200? Did you know that you could be that fast with the vid? Oof.
What's that? How did I feel about the 200?
Yeah, did you know you could be that fast with the virus?
Yeah, apparently.
I wondered why he was wearing the mask the other day.
Yeah.
Well, that and we never saw his normal kick on that.
Yeah. He was baby stepping.
He was laboring bad. But I mean, I'm not going to take it. That Tobago guy. That's flying.
Yeah. My little guy likes him a ton. He's like, you could just tell he's confident. I was like, weird. That's what you like.
Yeah. I mean, and then of course I can't end this call without talking about the great Spencer Lee.
So, you know what's funny about Lee? Do you feel like he gets lost in his national, like, we don't adore and we're not all in on Lee like we are some of the guys that are as decorated at the collegiate level as Lee. You think it's more of a national thing?
I think more people are infatuated with his mom breaking her glasses than what he's actually done in his career.
Yeah, because he kind of gets knocked, right? Oh, he wrestled smaller guy. Like, he gets a lot more butts for a guy that was as dominant as he was than a lot of other guys. Like, people don't even bring him up in the GOAT category of, like, even the discussions. And I get it. He's not, but nobody ever says, hey, what about – and he's like a recency bias guy.
He can get there, though.
Yeah.
He's still very young. But how much of it, too, is Iowa is so hated across the wrestling community because of their wrestling fan base. That how much of it is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do a study.
I mean, Jordan Burroughs was loved because no one hates Nebraska wrestling because Nebraska wrestling is not Penn State, Oklahoma State, or Iowa. So there's no reason to hate it.
because you're not as good, you don't bother us.
I think not being Iowa is a perfectly good reason not to be hated.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Just in general.
Hey, Cody, are you the only person in the 402 area code, probably in the state of Nebraska? Well, there's North Platte, Scottsbluff, and those guys that may be more inclined, but that's rocking at Wyoming Cowboy zip up.
Well, I mean, Sam Scott's family's in Omaha, so I'm sure they are.
Yeah, the great Sam Scott.
But the Rayberg family's rocking some Wyoming these days.
Also, hey, old Laradise is fantastic. I love it out there.
You're a piece of work, Cody. Be safe out there, buddy.
Yeah, see you, boy.
I had no idea what he was talking about halfway through that call. I am aware of Spencer Lee. Like, I was watching him a little bit.
And
but
then
in terms of his scope in terms of the larger wrestling world, I got nothing.
Yeah, he just doesn't get a lot of he was dominant.
Yeah.
like he was incredible in college, but I felt like he got a few more butts than most people that were as successful as he was.
A lot of qualifiers.
Yeah.
A lot of yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's an interesting point. I was watching when he wrestled yesterday.
Yeah.
I was watching his match yesterday, and I am like I think people think I don't like wrestling. I'm fascinated by it, and the way these guys like control their bodies is
I'm not as big a Greco guy, but I love I love wrestling in general.
And just the way they like the body controlled is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we were talking about. A guy we talk about wrestlers and linemen all the time and their leverages and stuff like that. We were talking about a guy, and I can't remember who it was yesterday, who's a lineman that was a thrower, that was shot put, discus, for Nebraska.
Oh, it's Davis, Kiona.
Yes,
my man ran the 100, 200, and threw the shot.
Yes, like that is. That I remember.
Oh, you Scott Frost or somebody?
Which I appreciate Shane having a clip of Keona Davis in the intro. Oh wait, that was in Dominican. My bad, I got him confused.
Were you vibing with me yesterday though? See, that's why I'm not negative about Frost, because everybody just takes their shots, and it's most of it is unnecessary.
Yeah.
So I just move on. But like he compared a guy to Remington, and we laughed at him for 2 years.
Yeah.
That guy is in the NFL playing center right now.
Yep.
But a guy can just casually compare, and I get it, the type,
the body type, the physicality
to Ndamukong Suh, and we're like, ooh, I wonder how good Keona Davis is going to be. Like the double standard is crazy.
So
I think I get it.
I will say I haven't
spit it out.
I have been as harsh on Frost as anybody, and I'll continue to be. But there's real things there and stuff that wasn't real.
Yeah. Does it bother you that you have to look back and talk to me?
No, it's fine. I don't
want me to do
not
this?
going to make eye contact with you anymore.
I'll do this. How's that?
There was definitely
more
stuff.
normal?
No, not at all. Nothing about this is normal. There was definitely stuff with Frost. It's like, okay, this deserves ridicule. And there was stuff that where it's like, yeah, I kind of get what he's saying. He's a super athletic guy playing this position. I do think part of it is that it aged poorly almost immediately the way Juergen's career as a center started.
Mm-hmm.
And then it aged a lot better now that he's a second-round pick and in the NFL.
So do you know how I look at that? And you're going to be like, shocker.
I'm ready. Let's go for it.
I think people need to be accountable for their own how they digest information.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right. So at some point, you have to get out of your own way. You have to get out of your own way mentally.
Yeah.
Where you can start to assess what somebody actually said.
Yeah.
So if you're still hung up on snaps and you can't get past the progression or how he's moving or how snaps aren't really as big of an issue anymore, like that's Frost. He doesn't have to own that. Like
no, I'm just saying that's what
the receiver that do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's the receiver of the information that can't get past that.
And I actually thought we did a pretty good job with that with Knighton of knowing what he was trying to talk about.
Yeah,
rather than
because we're more open to giving him the benefit of the doubt. Right,
100%.
Yeah.
Coming up on the show at 8:00, we've got Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska.
He did get Cam Juergens paid.
He did. 8:45, we got Brett Ciancia, Pick 6 previews. 9, we got Mike Sautter of Hurrdat Sports. And at 9:45, we'll wrap up with our guy, Matty Vrzal. All that and more coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, live from the Pinnacle Bank Championship. And I'm reminding you, you just got a couple days left to get to hurrdatsports.com to order your Hale Varsity Football Yearbook. That guy's in it. Got lots of people in it. Exclusive interviews. We've got great photos and ton of depth and insight into this year's Nebraska football team. Make sure you get to hurrdatsports.com by Sunday, August 11th, to get your order. All orders will be shipped after that pre-order window closes on the 11th. DB.
Ravi.
How you doing this morning? You doing all right? You doing good?
Man, I'm cool. My tips are
fingertips.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel like, do you notice, some of the people working out here kind of just, they're doing the long stare down as they're driving by.
I do.
And
I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that's about.
But I mean, we'll see.
We're getting a long look. I mean, I think it's pretty clear we're doing a radio show here with the headsets. They're
probably one. I don't know, man. You look like you just committed a crime, and I'm standing here with the shakes. So you either just supplied me and you're like waiting for my demise, or they're like, look at these two yahoos. And then Cam's beard is touching his kneecap. So they're probably like, yeah, these guys look awful shady.
I mean, Slim Shady, the death of, apparently.
Guess who's back? More like guess who's black. That'd be me.
Just one of us here. Not me. I don't know if people know that.
Sometimes you're just guilty by association.
Less of my face is showing, so it might be a little more ambiguous than normal, but still just one black guy on the show.
Piece of work.
What I do?
I don't have any idea.
I don't even recognize what we're doing.
I think Jack Spratt might be on the line. Did you see Shane's message? I think we have a call. Cam, do we have a call?
Do we have a caller, Shane?
Cam's like, I don't know.
Jack's here.
All right, Shane. Let's get Jack on the line. Jack, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, what's happening? Well, I just want
to. How we doing, buddy?
Oh man, super! This is my last day as a resident of the great state of Nebraska. But we're moving out today.
Where are you heading?
So, Tennessee. Gonna move to the Cumberland Mountains in Tennessee. Gonna retire there.
Nice, beautiful part of the country.
Yeah. Well, main reason I'm going is because of taxes. Main reason, to be honest with you. I pay $8,000 a year in property tax here in Kearney. Got 2 years Yukons, took $1,600 to put tags on them for this next year, and then on top of that, I get to give 5% to the state. I can't retire. That's $1,000 a year. I put that in my pocket, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So that's the way I'm going. Anyway, I got a really silly question for you.
Okay.
I was reading Anthon's bowl projections, which I know means absolutely nothing this time of year, but it was fun to do. And I'm looking for Nebraska. And I'm looking at all the peanut bowls and the sweet potato bowls on December 15th and stuff. Can't see them. I think, well, heck, they didn't make a bowl. I get to the end of it, and they're on December 31st in the Citrus Bowl. They had Nebraska playing Missouri. Would you take that today?
Absolutely.
We're good for the year, or would you roll the dice and say, no, let's see what happens? Because I think to get there, you got to at least be 8-4.
Yeah, I would take that because you know where I have them. I have them in the Music City Bowl the day before because I think the Music City Bowl is December 30th. Might be in your neck of the. We'd be close to you, so you might be able to go see them. But I would
enjoy that. That was the first prerequisite. I told my wife I'm not moving unless I can watch Husker sports.
I probably would take that. Would you take that, Jack? I know.
We probably should. I think we probably should, but I got a little poker player in me, and I don't. I probably would.
Hey, by the time you hang up, I may change my mind. Hey,
all right.
Safe travels, and make sure you call us. The phone works from everywhere.
I will, buddy.
All right, buddy. Congrats on your retirement, Jack.
Would you take that?
100%. Are you out of your mind?
Well, I might be.
100%. You think I'm too high on 8-4, and you want to roll the dice on the?
You're too high.
You said you're at 7-5. That means you think I'm too high.
Right now, I'll be at the scrimmage in the morning. I'll tell you more. Can't wait to get down there in the morning.
I'm excited.
Why wouldn't I want to be on the interstate again after just getting home 8 hours earlier?
Because that's what you do, man. You drive too much.
Man,
you're going all over the place.
On the road again.
You're just bebopping blueberry all around.
Yeah, peace of mind, man.
I
hate driving.
I don't understand it all because you do it so much.
I don't have a choice.
I just assumed you liked it.
I want it to be 7:30 in the morning, and I'm like, these guys are going to practice. I have the opportunity to go watch, but I'm not going to. I would never go back to bed thinking that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I got you. I just assumed you liked it more than you do because you do it so much.
34 minutes, drive way to the parking lot.
You told me on the way back or on the way to Indy, you're like, oh, man, we're going to have to take shifts. I can't drive that long. And I was like, what?
I was working myself up into it.
I gave you the Nick Young phase. I go, huh?
I can't stand that guy.
All time.
Would I take that?
I 100% take that. Are you nuts?
I have to think about it.
You're right. It's at least 8-4. If you're playing Citrus Bowl on December 31st,
and I had him in the Music City, so
you're at least 8-4.
I'm in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but man, without a doubt, I'm taking that. No question about it. Sign me up tomorrow. I don't even care which 8 they win.
You don't want the run at that plus 900.
As long as
it's hard to look a gift horse in the mouth when you haven't been bowling in.
That's my point.
What is it? 8 years? 7?
2016.
Yeah. Why? I mean, I was close. I didn't need specifics.
Well, you asked for a specific. You go 7, 8 years, so I gave you a specific.
Could have just been like, yeah,
2016.
Seems like a long time.
It has been a long. It doesn't seem like a long time. It has been a long time.
Am I nuts? He says. I'm not.
I think you are. You're not. Man, I would sign up for the Citrus Bowl today.
Today?
To this day? Today. No questions asked.
I probably would.
You got to.
You wanted to call me a name, didn't you?
No.
You idiot.
You have to. Listen.
Yeah, I probably would.
You have to.
I don't.
I think you do. If you're in your right state of mind.
Yeah.
There's been too much failure. If you can guarantee
+3 in the win column and you're bowling on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. That's a
pretty good deal.
That's a man, you really gotta watch Inglourious Bastards. Like half the stuff you say sounds like a quote from that. That a pretty good deal? Yeah, I'd take that deal.
The title sucks. I don't even know if I could get into that.
Are you on board
for like asking me to watch hey, have you seen that show, Rainbows and Unicorns?
That sounds right up your alley.
It doesn't sound good. Just like Inglorious
B-words.
Fatherless kids. What? Relax. Relax. Over there.
No, you'll. I think yesterday you literally said bitch and moan on the air, but you won't say bastard.
That seems worse.
How is that worse?
And it's easier for me to say bitch and moan because it sounds like a phrase.
It is.
I wouldn't call you
Yes, but I'm not calling anyone a bastard either. It's the name of the movie.
Okay. Fine. Always technicalities.
I mean, listen, if you like the idea of Brad Pitt killing Nazis, then you're all in. That's all you need to know.
I'm not a Brad Pitt guy. I could get over it though.
It's a good movie. It's all I'm saying.
He ruined Troy.
Oh, you thought so?
He doesn't look like I don't think of him as a Troy guy.
I like that movie. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a classic mythology guy too, so I'm looking for somebody a little less pretty.
You want him a little more grimy?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can appreciate that. He is like half god though, so that's
a little too much Viking-ish in him too. That's the wrong part of the world.
It's not very Mediterranean of him.
Like there are some historical inaccuracies there.
Well,
he got away with the whole God thing. Not to bring it back to the first hour.
Well, you want to bring it back to the first hour? They got Jim Caviezel playing Jesus. So, I mean, you want to complain about wrong part of the world?
There's a Caviezel story in there too.
Yeah. Anyway,
December. I'm closer to taking that than not. I said yes emphatically. When he first asked me to.
I can't even believe you're thinking about it. I really can't.
Yeah, because it's the competitor in me.
I know it is. And listen, you want to hear something
like give me a shot. I don't, give me a shot.
Yeah, I'm taking the wins.
Yeah, I probably am too, especially this year. Next year, I'm not.
Yes, that's fair. If we're having this discussion a year from now, I'm open to it, right? But you have to get some W's on the board for the momentum to continue.
Yeah.
Like I will.
Plus, if he gets, so here's the thing that I'm convincing myself. It's not for what you think. It's if he's playing on New Year's Eve and he gets to 8 wins, they return into recruiting monsters.
Yes. No, that is what I was thinking. Like if you want to close on some of these guys, like the David Sanders Juniors of the world and the Jackson Cantwells,
who by the way has booted Georgia.
Like the Jackson Cantwells, all these 2026 guys. If you want to start closing on those guys that you're just getting close on now, you get 8 wins. You get maybe not Music City, Citrus Bowl. All of a sudden, proof of concept starts to be there.
Yeah.
If they had won 8 last year, if they'd been able to flip some of those games, we're having that discussion now. But I need them to get those on the board. I do.
He said, "I can't believe you."
I can't. I'm stunned that anybody has to even think about it. That's a no-brainer.
Stun's a little strong.
I'm shooketh. Coming up next, we got Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We are joined now by our friend Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Tim, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Just joining you all from the parking lot of Memorial Stadium.
Oh, that's right. There's availability.
Yep.
So you're early. Like, is that normal for you?
A little bit today, just because I'm commuting from Omaha, so it kind of made sense to just make this commute a little early.
I did not know you were in Omaha, man. We may have to bring you in studio.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be down.
Yeah, you have to sit next to Ravi, though, because my side of the stage is a little crooked, man. But you can balance out the brains part of the show.
I don't know. I don't know if you can handle two Indian guys at the same time, man. Like, I don't.
Touche.
Don't challenge us to a spelling bee. You're in for an ugly time, brother.
He said it. I didn't.
So, Tim, I'm following along with your tweets and everything, and you're put out recently. I believe it was yesterday. A early look at Nebraska's 2026 offensive board. There's some obvious ones on there like Jackson Cantwell, the offensive tackle. But I want to talk to you about Dayton Raiola because I'm sort of fascinated by this recruitment. Like, obviously, he's not as highly touted as a prospect as Dylan was, but what type of prospect does Nebraska view Dayton as?
It's interesting. I think Dayton's one that I think has a lot of people curious. Like I was even like talking to a couple people yesterday just in that Georgia area and Florida, people that cover that region just to kind of gauge and see, have y'all been by Buford? What's the vibes over there? I think Nebraska legitimately views Dayton as a QB option. Like, I think that's pretty obvious at this point that they view him as a QB option. But at the same time, I do think if it was up to rules specifically, I don't think he would have an offer just yet, if that makes sense. Like, I think he'd be a guy that they'd bring on campus multiple times and a guy that'd be like, maintaining obviously communication with. But if it was rules decision alone, I don't think he would have an offer just yet, just because he hasn't played a whole lot of varsity football. And I think so much hinges on of this 2026 QB search. So much hinges on what Dayton shows on the field this year, and how much he plays this year. Because at least the latest I've heard, it's not like that Buford QB starting job has been set just yet. Like, I think it's still a battle from what I've heard, and it's between Dayton and this other kid out there. And if he doesn't win that QB job, then he's getting some rotational minutes versus starter minutes, and that's even less context that Nebraska has to kind of operate with when evaluating him. And it makes for an interesting thing because they have Glenn Thomas, since coming in, has made a bunch of QB offers, and he's gone out and seen some other prospects. He has Nebraska involved with a couple of guys. There's a couple in-state options you've got in 26 that I think Nebraska would like to explore, depending on what those guys put on film this year. And so, there's a lot of moving pieces with this, but I think Dayton factors into that, and again, so much hinges on basically what happens these first couple of weeks of the season.
Tim, I'm gonna ask you the preliminary question, and then I've got to ask a follow-up as it relates to recruiting. Given Nebraska's momentum, or however you perceive their recruiting prowess now, and how they feel about getting in before they start winning, would you take a guaranteed 8-4 season playing in like the Music City or the Citrus Bowl today? Would you take that guaranteed?
Would I say that's happening, or would I take that?
Would you take that? Would you roll the dice, or would you take the for sure December 31st bowl game?
Yeah, I think so. I think most people would see that as like a successful year or two.
Okay, so if you'll take that as the guaranteed guaranteed outcome, do you see the immediacy in paying dividends of guys like that have been intimated that winning has something to do with it that they're in on, whether it's Hawthorne or Christian Jones, or Ravi talked about Cantwell in 2026 that want to see progress, like to help out with the David Sanders closing out in 2025 with the win. Is it the wins, in your opinion, that will be the get them over the hump with recruiting energy?
I think so. I think wins, like over the course of a season, I think wins will have a bigger impact in 2026 than it will in 2025, just because there's only a handful of 2025 left that they're after.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you meant, like the ones you mentioned specifically, those are the ones that are pretty much just left out there. And Michael Terry as well. I'm sure they're going to try and flip a receiver or two if possible, if they have that type of success. But yeah, they would get in some conversations. They would open some eyes for sure if they go 8-4, because I think 8-4 also guarantees you. I would say if you go 8-4, that almost guarantees like down the stretch of the season beyond the Colorado game, you're playing in some at least national games where there's some eyes on you. You're like, there's going to be a week or two where you're one of the bigger games of the week that everyone tunes into, and you're going to get some big recruiting weekends out of that down the stretch of the season. And I think overall that all compounds itself into recruiting success.
Okay, so let me ask the follow-up. I was surprised. I read your write-up, as I read almost all your stuff, about the closing out the linebacking core and in this next upcoming class. You had the piece on Coach Dvorak as well. Are you the tenor of your board seemed to be they're okay with not getting Jones or Hawthorne? Like there was kind of this pessimism after your write-up. Are you vibing with that? Because it feels like and obviously I'm much closer to Christian than almost anyone that has an opinion, but I feel like it's interesting that we kind of cooled. Is it as a fan base, not as Nebraska staff? And I always wonder if it's because we don't think we're going to get him and we're protecting ourselves, or are we really trying to say that these guys aren't really good players?
Right. Like that, it's the mental kind of games you play with yourself, kind of to kind of like, hey, cope with something. Like, I think Nebraska fans are kind of preparing themselves to potentially get their heart broken here. I don't think, and again, Damon, I don't know if you would agree, but I would say at this point, I think it's a little far-fetched to say Nebraska's like trending down or anything in this recruitment. Like, I still think Nebraska's behavior here. I still just think he wants to see what happens on the field this fall.
He's just a thoughtful person. Like,
yeah,
I can't say it any simpler than that, but it's not. I don't know. It's kind of frustrating because I feel like he's my own, But there's just a lot of misnomer. I think his personality, his perception it's off. It's not accurate of who he really is.
Right. And that's the thing. I think that's another aspect of it. Again, like from a fan perspective, the way they see it is for them, they think this is not just a Nebraska fan thing. This is an every fan thing. They think any like recruit that takes the process a little long or like hesitates a little bit to make a decision or like, flips once or twice, they think those guys are like selfish, in it for the money, or just like looking for the highest bid, or like they have all these different things, which is like, no, this is a really hard process. And for a guy like Christian, who has a bunch of really, really good options that he's exploring, he wants to make sure he's making the best decision because, like you said, he's a very thoughtful person. There's a lot of boxes he's looking to be checked, and he's not going to commit until he feels like a program has checked all of those boxes. Nebraska's checked a lot of boxes for him. There's a couple they still have to check, but that's basically why we're still in this process. He needs to see, can Nebraska check these final few boxes? This fall should be able to show him whether they can or can't. And if they can't, he's going to pick a perfectly good like he's got reasonable, really good options still on the table. If it's not Nebraska, he's going to find the best pick for him. But at this point, like he truly believes Nebraska is a very good option for him. And if they just show that they're turning things around on the field, I think sooner or later you're going to see him eventually just like make the decision that people have felt he's been trending to for a while, but have kind of been frustrated that he hasn't made, which like I get like, you'll be like, oh, why hasn't he done it yet? There's like, he wants to see, he wants to see the results. We can talk all we want about, oh yeah, the season should be better. Will it? We don't know for sure. We need to see that. He needs to see that.
I think it's just interesting because we're talking about somebody that counts calories. He meal preps weeks in advance. He has multiple trainers. He's very thorough in whatever it is that Tim, I remember going from, he played in an even front at Burke. He comes over with Coach Lamanji from Westside. We go to an odd front, and it took probably 5 or 6 in-game practice weeks or in-game weeks, not including fall camp, for it to kind of to figure out and transition from like an edge guy that gets to play a certain way to being multifaceted. Like it's just his personality to take his time to make sure that he has a good understanding of the end game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and yeah, like you're saying, like I think too, like he has constantly, like this is something that has like, because I mean it's been a while since like I met him back when he was a freshman at Burke, but then obviously I was away from the beat for so long, so I'm meeting him again as a senior. But you know, from then to now, he always had like the long game in mind. He's always playing the long game. Like the goal for him is the NFL. Like for all of these guys is the NFL, but he's going about this process in a way that, again, I understand why fans would be frustrated when you lack the context of all of this that you and I have. But at the same time, it's like, I think you should gain some respect for him in the way he's handling this process, not lose respect for the fact that this is taking as long as it is.
We're talking with Tim Verghese from inside Nebraska. Yeah, it does seem like we often forget that we're talking about probably one of the handful of most important decisions a kid will make in his life, especially for these guys that are high-level Division I athletes. It's like, yeah, I would probably want to take an extra minute to think about that as well.
So it's hard.
Right. And for a guy like him too, where, you know, for the most part, at every school he's considering, they're going to hold a spot for him pretty much till the end. Like, again, like I've seen people out there say Nebraska's not going to wait around on Christian Jones.
Believe me, I've heard similar things.
Right. And that's the thing. If it's like November 22nd and Christian's like, hey, I want in, Matt Rule's not telling him no. Like, as long as everything checks off the field and there's no real issues, like he's going to be in the class if he wants to be in the class.
Tim, I want to return to that 2026 class for a second here. Who are some names on that big board? You know, I don't want you to give away your whole story because I want people to go over to Inside Nebraska and subscribe. But who are a couple names that people maybe aren't familiar with yet that you think we should be keeping a closer eye on?
I would. There's a couple. Michael Clayton, the quarterback. You know, you kind of talk about like other options besides Dayton. Clayton visited in June and landed an offer from Thomas, and now he texted me yesterday. He said he's coming up for the Colorado game. He's a 4-star out of Florida, 6'4" quarterback. Has a couple of national options, and you know, it's kind of one of those 26 arms that's on the rise. But Nebraska's right in there. He's a guy that's kind of emerging as a top target for Nebraska. So that's one to get familiar with, because I don't think this Colorado visit is going to be his last trip to Nebraska. And a guy any quarterback making 2 visits in the span of 3-4 months is notable. He's one for sure. DeZephan Walker is one that I think fans are familiar with, but I would say get very familiar with. 4-star running back out of Raymore Peculiar. Same school as Jaden Doss. I think that tie has helped Nebraska just because those two visited together in the past. Jaden's had a lot of glowing remarks to say about Nebraska whenever he's gone back home. And Walker himself kind of really likes EJ Bartell. He likes the running style Nebraska has. And, you know, he's a 6-foot, 200-pound back that can kind of do a lot, you know, and could play pretty much every down. So he's one to keep an eye on. Nebraska's really, really in the mix there. Another one I would say to get familiar with, Jordan Clay. That's a 4-star receiver out of San Antonio. I saw Clay back at I believe it was the Under Armour Dallas camp back in March, and saw him and like talked to him for a bit. And he had at the time had offers from Oklahoma and Texas A&M and a couple others. But felt at the time he was on the rise, like a legit 6'4" outside receiver that can stretch the field, go up and get it. Like he's going to see his ranking rise. I think he's going to finish as a top 100 prospect, a consensus across the board when it's all said and done. Just a really impressive player. Just once more people get eyes on him, I think he's going to really start to rise. Garrett McGuire's done a really good job there early on. Obviously, beating out like Texas A&M, Oklahoma is going to be tough, but Nebraska's done a good job there. Would like to get him on campus soon. And then a third name, or I guess another name I would throw out there. It's a big tight end year, 2026. One name I would say to get familiar with, Max Sautter out of Dunlap, Illinois. That's a 4-star athlete. He's basically a big body receiver, a legit 6'6", 225. He plays outside receiver at his high school. kind of moves like a receiver at that size. A really impressive like prospect to watch and impressive prospect to follow. He really recently announced the top 12. Nebraska made it, but they're competing against like some of the top schools in the Big Ten, some of the top schools in the SEC, and they have some other options at tight end. But that's a guy that they've kind of circled early on. Is like, hey, we kind of see you in this future Carter Nelson type role.
Tim, if obviously Texas gets another 4-star wide receiver. Oregon has their handful. You think anything that's happened the last couple of days with commitments sways Terry the third one way or another? I mean, either way is going to, it's a couple of deep wide receiver recruiting classes at the other two aforementioned schools.
Right. And Oregon kind of has this has more of a unique role pitch for him. So I don't think no matter what Oregon does, I think they've still got a spot for him. Texas, not that they don't, the Texas will always have a spot for him, but Texas is being very mindful with their wide receiver spots. And that Lockett decision, the kid they just got, that was one they weren't 100% sure was going to go their way until the very end. And they kind of had a contingency plan of they kind of view Terry as a receiver now. I've mentioned in the past they kind of see him as a safety. They viewed him as a receiver just based on the way they board had shaken out. With Lockett committed and with some of the other targets thereafter, I think that the title for Terry kind of opens back up to like an athlete designation, which could make things interesting for him because I think he wants to play receiver at the next level, and I think that's a fluid process that they him and his family are evaluating. I still think Texas is a school to beat there, but Nebraska just being consistent on where your role is in the offense and how much of a priority he is. I think depending on how long this goes, I think that could just continue to like remain at the back of his head as something like, hey, Nebraska from the start has been very consistent while Texas has flip-flopped on my position. Oregon didn't really enter this recruitment until 2-3 months ago, and then they came on really strong, but it's not like they've maintained this consistency that Nebraska has. I will say, though, with Oregon, like Landing's obviously a big factor here and shows Rashad Samples. They've got two really good recruiters working on him. And as good as Matt Rule and Garrett McGuire and the staff is, Dan Lanning is up there as like one of the better. Like I've mentioned this in the past too. I think Dan Lanning and Mike Norvell are two head coaches. If they take a personal stake in the recruitment, it's hard to beat those two specifically. It's hard to overcome those two. And the same goes for Sark, and Sark's doing that right now with Terry. But it's kind of one of those things where you're just going up against heavy hitters, which is where you want to be as a program. But it just this is what comes with it. Is these like recruitments that ebb and flow week to week.
I think I definitely would take the guaranteed bowl berth because I don't know why I didn't say like all in yes, because I've said if Nebraska has a successful season, all bets are off with this staff's ability to recruit going forward. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't I take the 8 wins?
Right.
Even though, so here's but Tim, I just got to be honest though. If Nebraska's what like 8-2 going into the final 2 games and they don't win them, like I don't know if I would want that either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, like again, the type of 8-4 you get, is important as well. Yeah, I mean, if you whimper at the end,
there's no real good combination, in my opinion, unless you start unless you start 4-2. Like, what would be what's a good outcome? Right. And I don't want to start 4-2 either.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will say specifically for the 25 class, I think a slow start to the year hurts you more than like a slow end to the year, specifically with the 2025 class.
Okay, that's fair. I see that. I could see that.
Yeah, like for example, like Christian Jones kind of wants to make that decision. He's kind of talking about making like a late September, early October decision now, and that's one of those things where if you start the year like 1-1 with like a loss to Colorado or like 2-1 or whatever, that I think a lot like a real early loss, and it's like if you play Colorado close and it's kind of like a to the end thing, I think that's a little different. But if you were 2-1 with like a multi-score loss to Colorado or something, I think that hurts you in the eyes of like a Christian Jones or like a Michael Carey or a David Sanders, who is like keeping an eye on what Nebraska does early in the year, versus like if Nebraska gets off to a hot start, they play, for example, let's say they start off like 5-1, 6-1, they go into Ohio State comes to town, you play that on national TV, you play that close, and you kind of finish out the year maybe whimpering to the end with like a loss to Iowa. I think that maybe hurts you a little bit with 26s, but with 25 specifically, I think you're still in good graces because they see like, okay, we're getting closer. Like, this is progress. And I think for everyone, they just want to see a step forward. Like, can you win those close games? Can you win games that you seem decided at halftime? Can you close those out and keep them multi-score like leads, or are you going to potentially blow this? Like, can you hold on to leads? I think there's a lot that recruits are looking for, and I truly think like 8-4, regardless of how you get it, I think winning just answers so many questions. Because that's the one box that Nebraska has in check for a lot of these guys is winning. They've done so much on the facility standpoint. They've done an excellent job building relationships. They've shown they can develop talent. Like it's not about any of that anymore. It's literally just about like winning on the field. And I will say this too for recruits. Losing is not necessarily the worst thing, especially for where Nebraska's at. Like, not losing, but I'm saying like an 8-4 season where you're like, okay, but our losses came to ranked teams like USC and
those guys got to understand they can help make the difference too.
Right, exactly. Like you can sell recruits on like, okay, we got this far with this level of talent. Imagine if you like, hey, 4-star athlete, or you, Jackson Cantwell. Imagine if you were here. Like, you would help us get over this hump where we would be able to, potentially beat Ohio State, potentially beat Oregon.
Speaking of Oregon, real quick, Tim, about a minute left here with you. We've talked a lot about wide receivers, talked a lot about Oregon. Any update here on the Isaiah Mosey situation?
Still kind of wait and see there. I still think Nebraska's like in that not even hunt, but I think like Nebraska's still trending to pull off that flip. I think it's more of just like a kind of wait and see type of situation right now.
That's our guy, Tim Verghese, Inside Nebraska. Tim, great stuff as always, and we'll talk to you again next week.
See you, TV.
Yes, sir. Talk next week. I'll have a good weekend.
That's Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska.
Forgot to ask him who he's going to watch today.
Ooh.
Because what, they get 20, 25 minutes?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
I know if we start 1-2 going into week 4 against Bellevue West, I don't want Christian saying anything.
Ooh, boy.
Some combination of losses to North, Columbus, and Miller West.
We don't like that.
Going into Bell West?
Uh-oh.
Nah.
About that life? Not interested in that at all?
Nah.
Coming up next, we've got more Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at the Pinnacle Bank Championship, and we're brought to you by our friends at the Team Jack Foundation. Make sure you get to teamjackfoundation.org to get involved with their goal of finding better treatments and one day a cure for childhood brain cancer. You can donate right there on the page. You can volunteer or find ways to volunteer and check out the events they've got coming up as well. All that at teamjackfoundation.org. DB, you asked me a question off air.
Yes, I did.
What is a good combination of 8 and 4? Because we're assuming Nebraska, if they're in the Citrus Bowl, they're at least 8 and 4.
And I started with the Music City, which still could be 8
so
wins.
Probably 8 and 4.
It could be 7 and 5, though.
But yeah, you're in that neighborhood.
Yep.
7 and 5, it gets harder to find a combination that you're okay with.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
8 and 4 is the only.
Although I do think 7 is the expected outcome.
I think people think about 7 in like a vacuum and not in the practical schedule. Like they think, okay, if we walk away from the season and got 7 wins, I think they're okay with that as a general idea. I don't think they would like how it looked based on how it would have to play out.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, you got to beat Colorado. That's a non-negotiable. for me. So you got to basically start off.
It would be extremely miserable to lose that game.
That's exactly. So I think you have to start off 5-0. That's UTEP, Colorado, Northern Iowa, Illinois, Purdue. Got to start out 5-0. I think you can lose Rutgers. That's a team that you're higher on than most people. I think they're going to be really good. It's going to be a grimy game. That's kind of how they want to play it. I think
that's homecoming, right?
Yes.
Okay.
October 5th, homecoming. I think you can lose Rutgers and at the end of the day be okay with your 8-4 season. I'm just putting it out there because here's what I want to avoid in an 8-4. If I want to feel good about it, I want to avoid losing 3 of my last 4. Right? I don't feel good about that.
Yeah, and I'm going off the dome here. That would be USC, Wisconsin, and Iowa.
Yeah, that would be losing.
That's the last 3. Who's the 4th? UCLA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good either.
Right? So losing 3 of those last 4 in any combination, you're not going to feel great about.
Yeah.
Right?
And and I'm not here for, because I know what people are going to say, and it's either somebody that's never really competed before or doesn't appreciate opportunity, or maybe you could just play it safe. So I guess there's 3 categories, but I don't. When you won 5 games a year ago and you lost 5 the way you did. I don't think you can just resign yourself to saying, oh, anything's better than, like I'll take, and then you settle. Because once you get into that kind of mindset, like you just have to acknowledge out loud. Well, you just have to say, well, that's just a fan's perspective because nobody else is going to think like that.
Sure. Yeah. And I don't expect.
So like you're kind of out on an island, and I'm not saying you as in you.
Yeah.
You're kind of out on an island with that philosophy.
And I don't expect internally for them to think this way at all, right? I expect them to go into every game thinking they can win. And, I think Coach Rule's talked that way since he got here, honestly. But I think if I'm sitting here...
If you struggled to get to 5 and weren't in control of your own destiny a year ago...
4 to 5 other times.
It's maybe a different conversation of, well, we're just lucky to get... And then you can start to have that...
For me,
we're fortunate thing.
It's just about
you gave some things away last year.
100%. They very easily could have been at 8 wins last year. I mean, easily. For me, it's about guaranteeing progress. That's what the 8-4 is for me, is guaranteeing you progress. But let's say they lose to Rutgers, they lose at Ohio State. That's 2. Let's say they lose at USC, and then they split either.
Why would you pick Rutgers to concede at home?
I'm trying to avoid a losing streak.
Okay.
If I'm just talking about what I would feel best about, right? Avoid a losing streak, and B.
And I do think Rutgers is going to be good, but I think you have to be able to out Rutgers at home.
You would like to, right? But I also don't think this year's team is going to be a finished product of what.
Okay.
Eventually, Nebraska. Like I think Rutgers is
ahead of them being
at this point.
Okay.
Yes, Rutgers is ahead of their process. It's like Iowa, right? Iowa's ahead of being Iowa, even if Nebraska is headed down that path. Rutgers is probably better at a grimy game right now than Nebraska is. Yeah. And I don't think that ends up looking like a bad loss. You've convinced me Rutgers is going to be, I think they're a bowl team at the very least. I don't think you're looking at Rutgers as a bad loss at the end of the season. And if you go Rutgers, Ohio State, at SC, and then either Wisconsin or Iowa, you avoid bad losses and you don't have an extended losing streak at the end of the season.
Shouldn't I be trying to make the case to you that losing to Rutgers at home is not progress?
It's
because
sure.
And I'm operating under the deal that I think programs that you're perceived to be better than, you have to start defending.
You have to beat them at home.
You have to guard your yard.
Yeah, I get that.
Right? If you want to be true yard dogs, I say this to our guys all the time, man. Like, you got to guard your yard. Like, you have to win at home.
Yeah, you have to win at home against teams that you should be better than.
I didn't. I get it. I know what you're saying. I'm not going to nitpick over that. That's
in general.
That's actually something you would do to me.
Occasionally. But you're looking at, you did it twice last year.
Yeah.
Close games to teams, and Nebraska isn't better than Iowa right now. That's not what I'm saying. But games that you kind of had in your control that ended up being grimy games in Maryland and Iowa, games at home that you'd like to say, hey, those are games Nebraska has to be able to win, right? Yeah. If you only do that.
Some of that is just clock management.
Yeah. A lot. there's a lot that was in their control last year. I agree with you.
Okay.
I also think that they're probably not past the point of having a slip up where you're like, huh?
No, I'm with you.
And for me, Rutgers is the least bothering of those slip ups.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
Regardless,
so you're making a case.
That's how I view
and you
it.
want the jury foreman to read it at the end. Okay.
I mean,
keep going.
So I got Rutgers, Ohio State, USC, and then either Wisconsin or Iowa. I can take that as 4 losses as an 8-4 that I feel pretty good about.
It at first blush, do you feel like Wisconsin should be further ahead of Nebraska in Lincoln?
Yeah, I mean,
in 2024.
Yes. Wisconsin started from a better place than Nebraska did. Yeah, I mean, I assume you're talking about in like their new head coach eras, right? Is that Wisconsin started at a better place than Nebraska. They should be ahead of Nebraska in the rebuild. And Nebraska hasn't beat Wisconsin, so you'd feel good about.
I'm inclined to agree with you, except that I watched the game last year.
Yeah. I didn't think I thought Wisconsin should have been better than they were last year.
Okay. That was the supposition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I agree that that game was not impressive for Wisconsin or Luke Fickell or the season in general. I thought they should have been better than they were last year, considering what they were coming off of versus what Nebraska's been coming off of. But I can sit there. Do I want to lose to Wisconsin? Absolutely not. I don't want to lose to Iowa either. But if those are the 4 games you lose, I think you're never dealing with a long losing streak. You're not losing 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Or
So unless what Rutgers is one of your losses,
you end up with a long losing streak at the end of the season.
You can't. Yeah.
And that I'm not going to like. That's the one thing I know I can't feel good about, because I don't want to like. You'd be like, okay, yeah, they're going to a bowl game. That's great. But if you're sitting there at 7-0 and then you lose 4 of your last 5, nobody's going to feel good about that.
This is how you know we haven't won in a long time. But could you? Because I think this is a real thing, and teams that are on the come like have to learn to manage this. Like, I think learning to deal with a win is a real thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I get the whole conversation, and I've argued about this a ton with the quote unquote letdown games. Would you have any sort of open mind to Nebraska not having been able to deal with a big win and they stubbed their toe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I 100% can see that. Dealing with success is a real thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't very good at it. And, you can make the argument even for Rutgers in that sense, not that any of those wins outside of Colorado would be big games, but starting off 5-0, maybe that's a little like, maybe it's not an individual game, but you're like, oh, people are talking about us now. And then you stub your toe against Rutgers. I could see that being part of the equation at that point of the season as well.
Just as long as it's not coming off a huge win against Colorado and then.
Yeah, you can't stub your toe against Northern Iowa.
You and I.
That's a non-negotiable on that one. You can't lose on Ag Day, DB. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our friend
Definitely agriculture greater than homecoming.
Oh, without a doubt. Can't lose on Ag Day in Nebraska. We're going to talk to
too many people around here.
We're going to talk to our friend Brett Ciancia of Pick Six Previews. Get a little national college football perspective this morning here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Gets the snap out of the pistol, hands to Travion Henderson. Straight ahead he goes, now swings it out to the left. Gets to his own 40, Henderson to the 50. Henderson Gopher territory, left side to the 30. He's got a blocker to the 20, to the 10, to the 5, and into the end zone goes Travion Henderson on a 75-yard touchdown run for the Buckeyes.
Will lateral it out to the left to McConkey. He wanted to throw. He's going to run it instead. McConkey weaving his way through traffic. 20, 15, breaks the tackle. 10, 5, dives for the goal line. He gets there just inside the near pylon. Ladd McConkey with an amazing touchdown weaving run.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at the Pinnacle Bank Championship. We are joined now by our friend Brett Ciancia of Pick 6 Previews. Brett, how are you this morning?
Hey, Damon, Ravi, thanks for having me on. It's the best time of year here. It's preseason. Everybody's undefeated. Everybody's excited, and I'm excited to break down the 2024 season for you.
Outstanding, man. 12-team playoff. Let's start there. It puts a lot of folks in the hunt. For you, do you have a line of demarcation that is kind of a hot take? I hear a lot of 10s. Ravi may try to make the case for a 9. Is there a line of demarcation for you that you think gets you into the playoffs?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, the 13th year doing Pick 6 Previews magazine, this is the most change ever. You got the super conferences, you got the the playoff expansion. So a lot of unknowns. And I think it's going to come down to conference strength, where I see the SEC getting 4 teams in, the Big Ten getting 3, and going down from there with the other leagues. So
I think it depends on your conference. It depends on the margin of those losses. But I think 10 wins, you're definitely in the discussion and probably in if you're a Big Ten team or an SEC team, because that probably means you finish third or fourth at least in the conference. So I would say 10-2, you're in from those two leagues. And, one variable that we're not sure about is how they're going to grade the conference title game losers. So say you were 10-2, you make the Big Ten title game based off a tiebreaker or something, and then lose, does that punish you below another 10-2 from the regular season? So some variables here, but I do think the committee is going to value the strength of the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah, conversely, could a 9-3 team get into a conference championship and win it and get to 10?
They definitely can.
That's likely, but it could happen.
Yeah, no, it definitely could happen. You're going to see some bid thieves and some bid stealers like you see in March Madness, where a team might win the automatic bid and not have been in the top 10, wouldn't have been an at-large pick otherwise. So, and I think what we're going to see here, unfortunately, there's some downsides to all this super conference talk, is without divisions and with so many games, so many teams in a conference, get ready for the era of tiebreakers. It's going to be crazy with a lot of teams tying with the same conference record. A lot of 7-2s at the top of the league, and with so few of games, you might not have the head-to-head to determine it. So we saw a little bit of it in the Big 12 last year. If you remember that coming down the stretch, there was all those tiebreaker scenarios, but that was just a small sample because that was only 14 teams in that league. Now picture an 18-team Big 10 or a 16 SEC. It's going to be a lot of tiebreakers. But yeah, to your point, somebody could sneak in there with the tiebreaker, win the game in December, and then be given a first-round bye all the way up to the top four.
Joined by Mr. Pick Six himself, Brett Ciancia, previewing 2024. I'm going to stay right there in the Big 12 because you were one of the first, and we've been doing this a while together, that brought Utah to relevance in terms of a getting in to the college football playoffs when virtually no one else had them. They made their run. Health was a thing. Here we are coming full circle in 2024 with super conferences, and they're in a new conference. Are they the prohibitive favorite in the Big 12, or are you a rock chalk or perhaps a Manhattan guy?
Yeah, well, first off with Utah, it's been great watching their style of play. Their hard-nosed football, it's tough defense. It's great program culture, all those buzzwords you look for. And I was close in 2019 and close in 2022. And I was joking. I was on a Utah show. I was joking with them saying, hey, if I miss this year with an expanded playoff, we just got to keep expanding this thing and get it to a 32-team bracket. That'll definitely hit home. I'll get Utah in there eventually. But no, they've been close. I think they're going to get it this time around. It's a very winnable conference. It's wide open, though. It was probably the most fascinating to write about. All these experienced teams, a lot of above average teams. But with Utah, what I really like, you got to throw out last year because it was the most injured run I've ever seen. 157 games were lost to injury. And you're talking starting quarterback, backup quarterback, both running backs, best linebacker. I mean, it's down the list. So they get the boomerang. Everyone's back healthy. And those younger guys that were thrown into action ahead of schedule, they're veterans now. So I really like Utah this year in a packed conference.
Brett, you mentioned how wide open the Big 12 is. How many teams do you think can actually win that conference? I mean, you've obviously got the three that DB mentioned, but
maybe Okie State.
I would say so. Maybe four. Does it go deeper than that, or is that kind of the group you're keeping an eye on?
No, I think it's really wide open. I mean, hey, I like Utah, but if the injuries happen again, or maybe they just come up a little short, this thing's wide open because I think you could argue Kansas State. They've had a solid track record in the conference. Oklahoma State was in the title game last year and bring back 20 starters. Arizona was really strong last year in the Pac-12. Remember, they're coming in. They're a contender, a top 25 team. Iowa State under Matt Campbell, they have the Big 12 formula on defense, and they're very veteran. And then a couple wild cards like a UCF. I really like them. I think I'm the only magazine with them in the top 25. The way they added KJ Jefferson, the big 6'6", 250 quarterback from Arkansas. And then, I mean, yeah, you could argue TCU. They're the number one recruiters in the conference. And now that Texas and Oklahoma are gone, they have some of that blue chip talent on their roster. Kansas has maybe the best quarterback in the conference if he stays healthy. And West Virginia, I'll even throw in there with a big offensive line.
I like West Virginia a lot.
Yeah.
Penn State's going to have their hands full in that opener.
Absolutely. Now, they got to fix their defense a bit with some turnover, but love that offensive line. It could be one of the best in the country, and it's a dynamic backfield, a true thunder and lightning, and now a running quarterback with Garrett Green. So right there, I just listed off 9 teams, and you talk to these fan bases, all 9 of them think they can win the thing. So that's what makes for a fun conference. They're all very veteran teams, like I said. It just so happened that way this year. So a lot of familiar faces and returning starters. So, yeah, I'd say you could argue 9 out of here.
Brett, you mentioned UCF, which I know they're in the Big 12 now. That still takes my mind some getting used to. But it reminds me of these group of 5 teams that are going to have a shot to make the playoff as well. I believe you've got Boise State pegged, but what's kind of the group of teams that you're looking at from outside the power conferences that has a chance to crash the playoff?
Yeah, so that's the deal this year is the highest ranked non-AQ champion gets an automatic bid. And I think in most years that's going to be the 12 seed out of 12 drawing an invite to the number 5's home stadium in the first round. I've looked at the conference champion projections. I mean, I think Boise State is the favorite out of the Mountain West. And then you have App State looks really solid out of the Sun Belt. Liberty right now, I think, is actually the odds-on favorite. If you were to look over at Vegas, I think Liberty has the best odds. They have the easiest schedule in America. So I don't know. This comes to the committee. Are they going to value just the undefeated card for non-AQ, or are they going to look at a team like Boise, who they face Oregon in week 2? And I know Oregon will be heavily favored there. So how would they evaluate a 12-1 Boise with a loss to Oregon against, say, a 13-0 Liberty? So we're going to learn a lot about the committee, this new expanded committee there. But, yeah, I'd throw Memphis in there from the AAC.
Me too. I like Memphis a lot.
Yeah, so that could be your AAC champion. But, again, back to the loss counting. I know the committee does this, where if Memphis wins a really strong AAC with a 10-2 record, is that going to be below a 13-0 Liberty? It's just – so it's a tough situation for them to evaluate.
Brett, all in or all out on this? Urban Meyer started the talk. We were cognizant of it, but he called it maybe the best ever. So no pressure on Ryan Day. All in on the semblance of talent in Columbus?
Oh, yeah, definitely. All the chips are on the table here. And I know that Jim Tressel even echoed his Urban Meyer's comments. So you have both national champion coaches putting the pressure on. So it's really all in for Ohio State. I look at 4 categories real quick. I think number 1, you got to go high school recruiting. They have a really strong pipeline there. I think they're top 5 in that 5-year average. You look at transfer game, which is important now, and they brought in some of the best transfers in the country. Caleb Downs, an All-American safety from Alabama, Quinshon Junkins, a running back, QB Will Howard even. So you got the high school recruiting, you got the transfers, returning starters, and returning production is up for them this year. Usually at dynasty tier teams like this, they cycle through early to the pros, but a lot back. And then the last thing, the intangible, the motivation card, because they've lost to Michigan 3 years in a row. I know that's not sitting well over there, especially seeing Michigan hoist the national title trophy. So I think all 4 categories, high school recruiting, transfers, returning starters, and then that intangible card of motivation, they got it all. It's got to be this year for Ohio State.
Brett, last thing for me before we let you go, is this kind of a make or break year for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame? I know people are kind of expecting them to take that next step. What are you expecting from Notre Dame?
Yeah, well, Notre Dame's a team, when I run my numbers, I do my advanced formulas, all that stuff, and numerically they really popped off the page last year. It was a really strong team. Remember, they were 1 inch away from beating Ohio State. That would have gotten them to 11-2. I like what they have there. I think they reloaded a quarterback with Riley Leonard from Duke. I think Marcus Freeman himself has elevated their recruiting profile over the last couple cycles. Now, they do have a couple questions in the trenches. They sent 2 tackles to the pros and then lost their next guy up to injury just this week. So they're going a little thin at tackle, which you don't usually expect from Notre Dame. But, hey, if there's a team that's built for a 12-team playoff, it's hard to get in the top 4 for them, but they're always going to be in that top 12. I think 11-1's a lock. 10-2, they probably still might get in. So, and I like that they're not going to have a conference title game as a barrier either. So they're going to probably host a game in South Bend if my projection holds.
All right, Brett, I'm going to sneak this in because this is Nebraska country. Ravi's guaranteeing me the Music City Bowl or the Citrus Bowl at 8-4. Do the projections and the models match? If you're me, do I lock in 8-4 for Nebraska?
Yeah, I actually like that number. That's what I gave on the Go Big Redcast I was on last week. We did a game-by-game breakdown. It's really unbalanced where the first 7 games, I think Nebraska will be favored in all 7. Colorado being a tough one, but I think they're going to be favored in all 7. It's a matter of going out and executing, limiting those turnovers, winning some one-score games, flipping the script there. I see a 7-0 start. I think you beat UCLA and Lincoln to get to 8. But road trips to Ohio State and USC and Iowa, those look tough. Wisconsin, a swing game to maybe get to 9. But I love the over 7 bet, the win total there, 7 or 7.5. I really like it for Nebraska.
That's our guy, Brett Ciancia from Pick 6 Previews. Make sure you check out his stuff, one of the best preview mags in the business.
Where are we getting it, Brett? Where can we get it? I know I've got mine. It's incredible.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Pick6previews.com. We have the hard copy and the digital, both shipping out. So pick6previews.com.
Appreciate you, Brett. We will talk again soon.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we got Mike Sautter from Hurrdat Sports here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Mike Sautter.
Yeah.
Mike Sautter.
Oh, man, you're going to put me on the spot.
Mike Sautter.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're joined now by Mike Sautter of Hurrdat Sports. What's up, Mike?
I got my computer muted today.
You don't. Yeah, it helps when you didn't bring one. No echo. That's so weird. That when the one time you don't have a computer, there's no echo.
Yeah,
Ravi had an echo problem earlier, but I don't know if that was him or Cam Bam.
Oh,
they both reached for the knob at the same time.
That was Shane.
Shane.
Yeah, throw him under the bus.
See, not even here to defend himself.
Cam is. I could not for a day.
Ridiculous.
Since I saw Cam yesterday, his nickname for me is gonna be Goody Mob from now on because I cannot get
someone's peeking in my window.
Damn.
That's
and then it goes. Dun, dun, dun,
yeah, but that's not even
Isn't that
their.
Goody Mob?
No,
that's Outcast.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Outcast.
it's Outcast.
Yeah,
Outcast. Damn. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Because,
well, I can't get that out of my
Goody
head.
Mob self therapy is their greatest.
Yeah,
song.
that's right. I was listening to Goody Mob on the way in a little bit today.
Are you bobbing your head? You have some really weird taste, but I haven't got like a screenshot in about 6-7 days, which is an eternity for you because you usually let me know once a week what you're vibing to.
I'm not driving that far right now. I'm.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, not yet today.
Next week.
Is,
Mondays.
Next week we'll be driving.
Bro, did he send you a schedule, Ravi?
He told me about it last week.
I mean,
but
this is incredible.
I have it like
memorized,
all ironed out, not memorized, but. We're going to hit, so there's we're talking high school football practice, right? And there's one less week this year, which we discussed, I think, last week.
This is incredible.
There's one less week this year than last year. Last year, I went to 18 high school football practices.
Okay.
And, if I go, I'm staying at least an hour, if not longer.
No drive-bys for you.
No. This year I am going to go to 20 in 2 weeks instead of 18 in 3 weeks.
So let's just look at August 12th, which is a Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Papio La Vista, the Monarchs, 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. August 12th, Omaha West Side, 5:45 to 7:45. Omaha North, 12:30 to 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
Millard South, 3:45 to 6. That's
Monday.
Monday.
That's a good Monday.
Tuesday, we go Bennington, Boys Town, Elk South.
Yep.
At least Bennington's early for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right. They changed it to
Wednesday,
5:30.
you get a little time off. Just Ashland, Greenwood, and Bellevue West.
Yeah, it slows down.
Thursday, just a 2-day slate or 2-team slate with Lakeview and Millard North.
Yeah.
Be leaving Omaha pretty early.
Yeah, about 4. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Yeah.
And Friday, just the one with Waverly.
Yeah. Couldn't find one in the morning.
And then Saturday, you'll close out with just Central. Oh, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, Central.
And then Monday, you've got Omaha, Creighton Prep.
Yep. And then I did work in.
That is insane.
Towards the end of the second week, I did find.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get through the 20th through the 23rd.
Yeah, you 24th. Just keep going if you want.
Yeah. We got Wahoo on the 20th, Gretna on the 21st. Battle Creek and Stanton. And I'll be there tonight, so I'll give you a preview.
Battle Creek and Stanton together. That's fun. They're only like 25 minutes away.
And then you've got Sandy Creek and Aurora on the 23rd, and then 24th we'll close it out with Omaha Scott.
Yeah, the 23rd. That one's fun because Sandy Creek. They both have that's scrimmage day, right? So I got real lucky. Called Coach Kuda from Sandy Creek, and then called Coach Peterson in Aurora and asked, I'm like, hey, what does your Friday look like? I know that's normally they used to be called soap scrimmage, Gatorade scrimmage things. And Coach Peterson, well, we'll go 6 to 8. I'm like, okay, well, let me call. I'm going to call Coach Kuda, Sandy Creek. And he goes, well, actually, we're going at 4 because one of our coaches is getting married on Saturday and they need to go. And everyone's got to be back in Hastings for the rehearsal dinner. I go, oh, you know what? Thank you. That is perfect because I can hit.
Thank God she said I do.
Yeah. Thanks to the coach and the wife is getting married and being able to adjust that. So, yeah, I got it. Hopefully, weather holds and I can get it all done. So
it doesn't look like it's going to be too hot. At least that'll be nice.
Yeah, I kind of,
You prefer the heat?
I would
What is the? I don't look past 3 days. What's
It's like
the
a lot
10
of like low to mid 80s next week. So a little warmer than this week, but not scalding by any means.
Cold, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm yesterday I was a little cold. I'm skinny and bald. I get cold real quick.
Well, I'm from a warm continent, so I do too.
Yeah, that's my excuse.
You were
from the tropics, brother.
You and Terrence Knighton are too cool to be hot.
Hey, T Knight was shaking his thing on Saturday too. I said, "That's a man that is comfortable."
Long sleeves and 95 degrees.
I'm gonna go watch them in the morning. They'll probably be bundled up like some kids.
Yeah, like this is cold. I had to put this long sleeve on today and pants.
I had to wear pants. I was pissed.
Yeah. Wait. Okay, Shane, cut that up. You need to use that.
Well, I mean,
I had to wear pants. I was pissed.
Just saying.
Cut that up.
See, that's
a
not.
drop.
I'm not that's not a look. I don't know if I could pull off. I thought about the long sleeve and the vest, but
I do.
CG, he's still rocking the shorts. I didn't want to do the shorts. I thought about it.
I do
and I was
that all
like,
the time.
If it was a hoodie, I would have.
Yeah, you do that all the time.
I do it all the time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But I was gonna go with the vest. I was like, man,
You're not sure about the long sleeve vest and the shorts.
Yeah.
That's the combination. You're okay.
It's a good.
You know what I mean?
It's a good golf.
He
look.
does look like he would go golf.
It
Like
is a
that-
good golf outfit.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Vest.
maybe be playing the links.
Yeah, get out there
Just
and
make his beard longer. He wouldn't need a vest. It would just cover up all the.
That's a man that spent some time camping. he knows what's going on. Hey, so I had to ask
I'm a
you.
glamper. Not a camper.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a what's it called when you just like to stay at hotels? What's that called?
Glamping.
That's not glamping.
That's what I call it.
There's no amping there.
You're just a first world guy,
Yeah.
right? He's like,
I need some AC and heat and all that.
I like my
Clean water.
hotels, or I like
you're
my.
not sleeping outside though.
Oh God, no.
No.
Never, not in a million years. I like my accommodations the way I like my recruits, 4 stars. All right,
Yeah.
that's what we're
No.
talking about.
I don't do that. I don't do the whole sleep on the ground
No.
in a tent thing.
God, I work,
Even with an air mattress.
no, I
way.
work for a living. Get out of here. I'm not going to pretend I'm homeless for vacation. Like, if I want to be homeless, I'll just stop working.
I need a pool. I need a pool.
Trust
and-
me, that's an easy way to get there.
Like, if I want to sleep outside, like I will give up, the old 9 to 5.
Yeah, well, that too can happen.
I need a pool and some accommodations.
Hey, so who are you most excited to see? I get it. I'm not being sarcastic.
I
People
wanna-
talk as though there's things that are foregone conclusions. You still got to line it up and play. Who are you most interested in camping?
I started working on kind of like prepping a little bit for this. So I actually am probably most excited to see Stanton.
Yeah.
I want to see Ren Brown. I saw him last year in state, but I want to see how he works in camp or in practice and how hard he works and all that. And I want to see Papio. After kind of looking at, and they're the first initial kind of dug through some stuff for them. I think they got a chance to like be real sneaky good.
The
Not
Monarchs?
sneaky good. Yeah, like no one's talking about them really. Like I think they got a chance to be pretty good. Running back, they're gonna figure that out because losing, Prestido was pretty good for them last year. So I think they got a really good chance to make some noise.
And he went young,
Right.
in some spots.
Yeah, and I don't know if
I like him because he's not gonna lay down. Like, he's just edgy by nature.
Outside of Millard South and West Side, I mean, tell me a better pair of receivers that a team has. I mean, they're good. Like they got a chance to be pretty good. So I'm excited.
Although
I guess,
Wiley
for
and
that.
Green.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, yeah, at Bellevue, I said
Whaley. I said Wiley.
I didn't think about them. Sorry. Okay, but they're still in the conversation.
Yeah.
I hear
Isaac Cameron is really good.
I hear the young Goodwater's going to be a stud.
Really?
Yeah, Ben's little brother.
Yeah, I need to.
I watched him in track in 8th grade. He was competing.
Their
in the
whole
high
thing
jump.
is up front, right? Like Bellevue West is that's what it's going to come down to for them.
You think?
It always is.
You think North will throw the football?
No.
His reaction was funny.
I don't. Yeah, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just.
I mean,
I know
you got
Larry
Darian
Martin.
Jones. I mean, you got Jones and
They
O'Neal,
got-
those guys on the outside.
They
Those
do
guys are
have
good.
some nice receivers. North has some nice receivers. Gal's still kind of working on getting up to speed with them because he missed some time in June, like 2 weeks. So that comfortability there is going to take some time, and timing is a thing. And
I mean,
all
those
of that,
guys potentially, and Darian doesn't have the.
Darian Jones is going to be really
He
good.
doesn't have the resume of like, because he hasn't done it very long. He's just a pup.
Be all right.
But that's a good tandem, and they're both long.
Yeah, when I went and saw them in June, I was like, okay, like, no, they lost Champ and lost some other pieces and stuff, and I was like, but this doesn't look bad. Like they look fine. They're gonna be good.
And Cannon can run.
Yeah, they're going to run they're gonna run a lot.
Yeah, I hate to fall into that trap. I'm not gonna outthink it. As a staff, I mean, they're gonna do what they do, but
100%.
I don't know, man.
They're gonna go back to Omaha North of 2 years ago or whatever, and like just pound it.
Yeah, great.
Tyson,
DB's excited about that.
I mean, it's gonna be a really good test. It is.
It's
difficult for an opener because I know how those guys do. Like, they don't get out of bed and hope to be tough. Like
it's gonna be physical.
They prepare to be tough.
And Tyson's gonna play both ways, so he's gonna play.
How pissy is he gonna be?
Real bad.
Hey, talk about everybody else in the state, but that monster.
Larry Martin has a
You
little
think
bit.
He's not going to gas to have that guy gas? I'll be like, look, man, you just had lunch with my guy CJ. I saw you together. Dude, take it easy.
You can chill. And Larry,
Did you see that gruesome portion?
Yeah, I saw it. Larry has some motivation,
pent up frustration.
Yeah, he has a little motivation, and I don't know if you want that old guy kind of mad at you. He didn't get mad very often.
Yeah, he fired up Coach Martin's
fired up with
it's good Coach
with
Martin.
Fired up with a purpose and kind of
we used to tell him to pace. We used to tell him to pace himself.
Yeah,
like, hey man, we need you around.
Him and those guys feeling slighted is probably not a good combination for a lot of people.
So, are you going to get out to Kearney?
No, I call Coach Cool. I just can't make it.
It's funny too because he doesn't mind flying under the radar at all. That dude is more than happy to sneak up on your shoulder and just tap you and be like, "Yep, we're here.
They're
going
to be good."
I know.
They're top 5 like to start the year. I think.
There's no question.
Yeah, I don't think that's even like.
And I wasn't being disrespectful to Elkhorn South when I said I would put them third. I just was saying like I keep those. We just know because we keep the rosters right, and then you're going through huddle film and cut ups, and I was like. These guys are pretty young in some spots. Last year,
Shilkey's really good,
dude. He is
like I mean,
I don't think they competed very hard for a long time against us, but early on, like I'm like these guys got good players.
Okay. And Coach Cool's obviously
he's pretty smart.
Yeah, I think I've told this story before, but he was my JV coach my sophomore year of high school.
Yeah.
So,
he's
he had me catch a punt once and I caught it.
How'd that go?
He didn't tell me to fair catch it. He
told
said,
you.
just don't drop it.
I interviewed that guy. What was that 06, 07 when they won state, and he was like 12.
Yeah. He said
he's younger than me considerably.
So how old was he when he was coaching Sautter?
I'm old.
So he won that. He won that in it. He wasn't in his 20s. He might have been 30,
20, low 30s probably.
Yeah.
Because that was no, he's older than that. I mean, he was kind of fresh out of college when this would have been in the 90s. We'll just go with that. It was when Damon was in college.
Who are you claiming as like your high school? Like you have like 4 alma maters.
I went to 3 high schools.
No, your alma mater is just the one you graduate from.
Yeah. Well, I went to 2 colleges, and the first one
is it like Ralston or like what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I graduated from Ralston.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole Western Nebraska thing was.
I was there for Western. Like, what do you count? Western Grand Island's not Western.
No, Central Nebraska.
Friends out in the Tri-Cities.
Sutherland. They tried to say that was like North Platte, and those people were like, "Oh no, we're Central." I'm like. No, you're not. Like,
no,
you're West.
North Platte's Western Nebraska.
Yeah, like if we're ranching, we're in Western Nebraska.
So Heinrich Harburg from Western Nebraska?
Definitely not. I don't think Kearney. I think I would still put in the
Central.
Still central. Yeah, still in the central part. But no, Coach, back to this catching the punt thing. Coach Cool said it was a JV game. I remember him. So, sorry, get back there, catch a punt, because I was playing corner, because I weighed, like 110 pounds, and was like 5'9". And
so not a ton different.
He said, "Go back, catch a punt." He said, "Don't." I remember him yelling at me, "Don't drop it, just catch it." So I catch it. I didn't drop it.
You got smoked,
but
though?
the next thing I remember is him standing over the top of me with somebody else, and was like, "You all right?" And I was like, I had the ball right in my arm. I was like, I didn't drop it. I got laid out hard. Like, just smoked. I caught it, and I didn't have anywhere to go. Well, that's okay.
Let me jump back to something we talked about, because they're going early at 6 a.m. and Bennington. So it's their defense and everybody else.
Their defense is gonna be nasty. Yeah, I think it's their defense and everybody else. They get a couple quarterbacks they're working on. At least in June when I saw them in Grand Island, they had a couple quarterbacks. Running back, they'll be fine. Up front, I wonder if they'll play. They don't play both ways up front, just because their numbers are so big. So I wonder if they maybe do a little bit of that, but I don't think so. I think they're pretty.
Waverly have a little bounce back in them.
Waverly's in that conversation. Scott's in that conversation in B. I think Gretna's going to be actually pretty good in B too, because up front they'll be good. Quarterback, I can't think of Knutson. Is that right? Is going to be pretty good for them. So I'm kind of excited to go watch them play too, or practice, and Coach Dalton take over, right?
Yeah,
this year
I'm a big fan.
Dropping to B,
good person.
They'll be right in the conversation. They'll be right in the mix in the conversation, I think, for sure.
So that puts East squarely in the
East will be is top 10. Yeah. B is pretty wide open outside of, I think Bennington's the clear favorite. Someone's got to beat them eventually at some point, right?
What are we?
You would think so.
What are we up to for them?
It's
in the 30s.
Yeah, 30, low 30s. I can't remember the exact number. 2, 3, 4, something. I mean, I could look it up quick, but yeah, Coach Leonard does a good job. His practices are really good.
Well, you can tell
everybody practices.
You can tell by how he carries himself.
Like I'm talking freshmen. Everyone's practicing at the same time, and everybody's getting reps all at the same time. At the same time.
It's just funny. It's like-minded things. We got our coaching staff musts yesterday, just as kind of a reminder.
Yeah.
Make sure to have your daily position at objective goals. Clearly communicate the strengths and improvements daily or as needed, i.e. if I ask you. How about that?
Yeah.
Use common language. It must be a must all the time. Fast transitions from drill to drill. Improve on starting in team group sessions. By that, I mean, say, hey, going to the north 30-yard line. Make it known. Don't want kids asking. Few places we can improve on our practice tempo from a year ago. That is one. No wasted downtime. 0 outside conversations. If they aren't drilling, make sure they get mental reps. That's just how it's going to be. It's not only going to be me enforcing that.
Yeah.
Everybody looked around and were like,
okay. All right, bud.
You want to say relax, but you just know he's already mad going into this season about how we're being viewed. I'm like, it's not that bad.
It's too early.
It's
not too early to be that mad.
It's too early. We got to pace ourselves.
It's too early to be that mad.
But he knows, man. I mean, he and Larry have had some battles. He knows going in the defending champs.
I called him the other day and I told him, I said, hey, okay, 5:45 on Monday, whatever.
It's going to be 5:30. We had to move. It helps me get here earlier, number one. And we have 2 middle school teachers.
I said I'm going to sleep on the couch in the office again because that's like I'm going to have, very little time, like an hour or two to take a nap in between Papillion and West Side.
Yeah.
And he said, you better buy one of those real alarm clocks. I tell my kids all the time, don't count on, you got to buy the one that shakes the whole house. You wake up. And I said to him, I go, yeah, I don't want to be doing those warrior makers for missing practice like I did last year. He goes, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. And I'm like, yeah, for you.
2 parents meetings and 4 staff meetings before the season starts. It's like, all right. Will be good. It should be. I mean, I'm excited. It's about that time. It smells like fresh cut grass out here.
Yeah,
You changed gears after the last basketball live period, right?
Yeah, I did. I started working on football stuff like 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah,
kind of right away. Just knowing what's coming. I even told my wife Wednesday. After I took my kids to the zoo for 6 hours, geez, talk about patience. Holy crap.
Terrible.
Like, the level of patience I had was off the charts.
Ravi.
I mean, parents were losing their mind. Like by the end of the day, you're just tired. And then like I'm just like,
I don't want to do 6 hours at the zoo without having to deal with kids. That's a long zoo day.
We rode that train twice. We did the Sky-Fari thing twice.
Yeah, I cried.
You don't like going on the Sky-Fari?
Nope. I won't. It was so slow, and I was like looking for places where the water may be deep enough if I wanted to bail out. And Zoe's just laughing her head off, and like I was holding her tight under my arm because I was paranoid, and I had like the sweat stain because I think my nerves were like through the roof. I was like, "Yep, not doing this again."
Knutsen's the quarterback.
The turn to come back around.
Yeah, it's easy. It's on the ground though.
Yeah, it took about 4 minutes. I was like, "Yeah, I'm good on this."
Now, okay, I will say the one thing that they did, I think this year, maybe last year, is they actually put like a pad on the bench,
bar,
like the seat. No, the on where you sit, because before there wasn't. It was just like a bench with like spaces in between the wood, and it like, do you feel a little like, oh my god,
you're like, why is this bar 6 feet away from me? Because you're built like a stop sign. That's why.
That one got a little.
And most people don't have that problem. So you felt like if you were at least elevated off the bench, that your thighs would touch the bar.
You just felt a little. You felt a little more secure.
Pin you in a little.
Felt a little more secure being.
Mix in some cholesterol. How about that?
I gave up soda, so.
Yeah, whatever carbs that Damon lost, why don't you pick some of those up? Why don't you find them?
You don't like carbs?
No, I'm out on those.
He likes them. He just doesn't eat them anymore.
I still eat whatever I want. I just cut out the pop.
Are we really not gonna wonder how that spider lost its leg and died?
It just died right there.
6
Are you
inches
scared
from
of
my
that dead little? It's a daddy long legs. For
it's
Christ's
just
sake.
ugly, and he's missing multiple legs.
Yeah,
he's been through it.
One leg's right.
He's been through it. Yeah, one of them fell off on the table.
Let's not. Let's keep
You
that
may grab it for you?
away from the old laptop. Don't do that. That's
what are you doing?
See, that is so Anglo.
What are you doing?
That is you.
Yeah, that's some. That's not what we do when we're glamping. Like, that's some camping stuff right there. I need you to dial it back a couple.
Incredible.
This went from Goody Mob to Mike's really white.
It somehow always ends up there.
How did that happen?
We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back.
No, you're exactly right.
We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And I got to remind you to make sure you get your tickets for our live shows coming up before Nebraska football games. We're going to have 4 of them this year. First one before the opener against UTEP, presented by EP Foundation Repair. Go to eventbrite.com and search for Hurrdat Sports Radio to get your tickets to our live breakfast shows at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in La Vista. Joining me now is Jessica Brabeck, Tournament Director for Pinnacle Bank Championship. Jessica, how are you this morning?
I'm cold.
Yeah, me too. I've been sitting here for a while, and it is chilly.
Yes.
I think it was like 54 when we switched.
Yes.
I'm like, I feel ridiculous because it's August.
You look ready for a football game.
Yeah, it's August.
So kickoff.
It is early August, and I've got the beanie on. I've got the full coat. I brought gloves just in case, but I couldn't bring myself to put them on.
I did see someone else in gloves this morning. You would not be alone.
I didn't feel great about it because I
they
thought
may have been from Florida.
I thought the beanie.
Wow.
That hurts right here. I was born and raised right here in Omaha. I'm not outdoorsy. All right, that's where we're at here.
Does it at least feel a little different under the tent at the bottom of this swell, right? Because you don't look warm.
I'm not. I have many layers on.
I mean, she's as nestled
on.
and ducked as could be. And she's making fun of man in his toque and his full coat.
Hey, I just had to fit in, okay?
That was me yesterday when I was not prepared for the elements, and I was just like, I was just like this the whole show.
None of us were.
You would have
Yeah.
never guessed that I played in sub, 10-degree weather, but I had a blanket yesterday.
He did. One of the fine volunteers here at Pinnacle Bank Championship brought him a blanket.
Oh,
and
that
he
was so sweet.
He just had it all nestled
It was
around
Dale.
him.
Oh,
I mean,
Dale's a man.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, Dale reminds me of he's a guy that gets things done. He's
Yes,
like he should have been
yes.
in Shawshank Redemption.
Yes, Dale is a longtime volunteer, and he always makes sure that we have the fruit on the tee boxes for the players, and his volunteers are shuttling the players back and forth.
And
from the
he's
tee
so
boxes.
good natured.
He is. He's always got a smile on his face, and he's gonna figure it out.
I thought it was just because he was laughing at me. He's
That
like,
too.
That might have been part of it.
Softy.
That might have
Yeah.
been part of it. No, they drove him and
Exactly.
Gary drove by this morning. They're like, "You guys good? You need any blankets?" And they were making fun of us, but they were also asking. I fully believe they
Yes,
would have gotten us some.
They totally would have.
And how kind is Gary still, Java? Like,
Oh yeah,
this Mr. Salt of the Earth.
I know. It might have been a horse blanket from beautiful Horseman's Park, but he would have got you a blanket.
Honestly, those would probably be warmer. That'd be great.
That's a great call.
Yes.
It probably would have been.
Yes, I know.
Might have also been from Secretariat too.
There you
but-
go.
It would have been well made. That thing would have been heavy, and we'd be
Oh.
warm right now.
Just saying, you need to up your game.
It's August. I was like, I'm not gonna be out here without a coat though. It's freezing.
I know. No one was prepared. I am so ready to have people out here.
I know. Well, and it's the nice thing is, okay, by the time most people get out here in a couple hours, we're gonna be like
Be
mid
perfect.
70s.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
gonna
the-
be
Yes.
great.
I
Yeah.
do think the gallery there's a lot more people this morning than there was yesterday morning
I
for
agree.
sure.
Yes.
Like there's you could see the masses kind of following golfers
Mhm.
already, which didn't happen until later on yesterday.
Yes. Yes. I would agree with that. And the Gucheskis had a great gallery, probably
That was so
150.
awesome.
Yes.
I know. So many people watch them tee off, and they tee off this afternoon. So I think you're going to see a lot of locals with, Vaughns and Crick and Shockies.
I mean, you can't really, if you're putting on a tournament in Omaha, Nebraska, you really can't write a script better than what we have seen with the Gucheskis, right?
Yes.
With the father, the son,
And they played well.
locally.
well,
Like
yeah.
that's got to be perfect for you.
Yes, it's a perfect storm, if you will. It's a great time. We've had so much interest and so much support from the community year round. And then just to see everyone come out, I think is going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know why it surprises me because this is what you do and you're really good at it. But when I see how everybody knows their role,
Mm-hmm.
but still, like, you could see a cart stop right in the middle. Hey, do you need anything? And they
Yeah.
could be responsible for something completely different, but
Sure.
eyes are always peeled, asking the next person what they need. Like, the vibe is incredible. It's just
Thank
friendly.
you. We try. Nebraska nice.
Now, well, explain that to my partner because he still hasn't really grasped that concept.
He thought he was born in Nebraska.
He thinks so. Well, I was, a lot of people in Nebraska would make a distinction between Omaha and Nebraska in terms of how nice people are going to be.
Okay, I can see that.
But DB blames my evangelical upbringing for how I am.
He's
So
he's
that's-
kind of sour. It's like, I don't know what happened. He's traumatized.
I think I'm super nice to everybody. I think DB maybe has a little chip on his shoulder.
Might
Because you didn't share a blanket.
He had the blanket. I didn't have anything.
Well, then
He had the blanket.
Yeah, I don't know. What he's
Graciously, I was like, I don't need to share. That might be a little awkward touching knees over there.
Yeah,
Just trying to share
yeah.
a blanket, but
Oh, I'm secure. No worries. So how we feel?
doing. It's great. We're excited
This
to
is
have
live radio. We're just totally having a pal conversation here.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
What are we expecting today
Yeah.
besides more people? Because it is significantly busier at this time than it was yesterday.
I need more trash cans. I need more water. I need more drinks. 'Cause people are coming.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking about.
it's
People are
Friday,
coming
too,
out, and
so
it's
it's-
Friday, and they're walking around and they're having fun. And if you forget to bring a jacket, you can go up to the golf shop.
Yeah,
and
go up to the
they'll
pro shop.
Get you something to wear. And tomorrow is our youth day, so we have so many fun activities with our RSM putting challenge and the Spectrum snowballs for the kiddos, and that's going to be a great time. Some collegiate athletes coming out doing some autographs.
Oh, you got a good group for that.
Yeah.
We do. Brett
You
did a
have
great job.
you have
lining them
some
up.
really good. We talked to Tony about that. Was that Wednesday?
Wednesday, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And we were just running down the list, and it's funny how like people try to find like people. So we're
Sure.
just this good people that are super other centered. You have some good golfers, Caitlin Hanna, and some of these folks coming out here. Jackson Benge.
Yes.
No West Side biased over
No,
here.
not at all.
Never.
I mean, and Jackson's
Never.
having quite the week too, being
He's
on
a
Trevor
stud.
Duchesky's bag. So
My son loves that guy. Like,
that's awesome.
yeah, I mean he's just really good. He's got a great old school Nebraska Herbie Husker t-shirt that he wears too. So he's got a little bit of an old soul to him. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, Jackson's a good kid.
That's
good kid.
fun.
So we mentioned the Gucheskis, but it's a good week out here for a lot of the Nebraska guys, not just the ones that'll be here for the autographs tomorrow, but for the actual players in the field. There's quite a few, aren't there?
Yes, there are. So there are quite a few. We've seen, a lot more out of I'm trying to remember what county we're actually in, but I'm from Northeast Nebraska.
We're in Douglas.
I know, but the city people have the letters, and I'm used to 26 county from, being from Antelope County. But, it's great seeing the family of the golfers come out and the support and how much fun that they're bringing. And it's just going to be I just keep saying fun because I'm just so excited.
Well, as I have my olfactory nerves are operate at a high level. I'm like a regular hound dog, and I could smell the beers being cracked because we are downwind and they're only about 6 feet from us. So
exactly.
I believe this will be quite the party because these four, it's 12 o'clock somewhere.
Well, we're on airport time at the golf course. That's what we talked about.
Always.
Yeah.
And my son, with the storm and everything last week, didn't have power. So my 7-year-old helped make the birdie beer bell. So
there you go.
That's great. Yes.
I thought you were going to say he was like out here pouring beers for people.
Mommy, what are these for?
No.
Relax.
No.
Just making the bell. Help him make the birdie bell.
Help him make the bell.
Some birdie beers bell. There we go. That'll be good. And I gotta imagine around noon, 1 o'clock, people are like, they're taking a half day on Friday.
And the weather will actually then be ideal.
Yeah, it'll be perfect
because it won't be too hot.
You'll be like mid to high 70s today.
Right.
It's gonna be gorgeous to be out here at the golf course.
And you're gonna want to walk around a little bit, explore the golf course, figure out where you want to enjoy over the weekend when you come back with your friends.
So where is Jim hiding? That's the guy. I need a little love touch. Like, where is he? We were gonna stop and see him yesterday, but
Nedro's like a Where's Waldo. He's all over the place. He's
just find him hiding behind trees.
Did he bring his dog?
No, Ollie can't come out anymore because he is too spastic and he runs away. He has to spend more time chasing him down than taking care of the golf course. So to prioritize.
Spastic dog.
Yes.
I saw him out here last year and I was just like, ooh, there's a puppy.
Yes, exactly.
I was so excited. And then I thought I was going to have to go be a hero and rescue the dog. They're like, no, it's just Jim's. And I was like, so I don't get to bring him back over here with me?
Yeah.
They're like, no, just leave Jim's dog alone. I was
exactly.
Like,
okay. Get that guy a tracker.
Well, and then there's golf dogs on Instagram. So Oakley, one of our Douglas County sheriff, Pooches is going to.
Now, even those guys are cool. Like you get like the nicest of the nice guys. Sometimes sheriffs can be tough.
Well, they do a good job. They're nice and they're tough.
Oh man,
quite the skill.
They kind of walk around with presence. I'm like,
he's
looking at me in my ski puffy vest, and he's like, I'm sleeveless and I'm strapped. Zip
it. Well, Jessica, I hope you have a great rest of the weekend out here, and I hope on Monday you can finally sleep again.
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
She's like one day at a time, right?
Yep.
That's Jessica Brayback. She's the tournament director for the Pinnacle Bank Championships. Jessica, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio and Matt Vrzal to close out the week next.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now let's find out what Matt Vrzal is better at. Telling stories or making pizza.
Matt.
Matt's an exceptional young man.
Matt Vrzal.
Happy birthday, Matt.
You know, Matt, he's a tremendous athlete.
Matt Vrzal.
Come on, Matt, I'm with you.
You know, like Matt Vrzal, you're one of the sexiest people in the world, but you're not one of the most beautiful. How does that happen?
Here is Matt Vrzal.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
Wrapping up the show here on a Friday, wrapping up the week on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. Reminding you to get out to unionomaha.com to get tickets for their exhibition match against Bellevue University on August 21st. It is a friendly, and that means there's going to be a lot of fan interaction. There's going to be stuff going on at halftime. There's going to be raffles. There's even going to be opportunities for you to get on the field and get involved as well. Go to unionomaha.com for tickets. Joining us now is Matt Vrzal, former Husker, owner of Paisan's Pizzeria. What's up, Verz?
What's up, boys? How we doing?
Machu Picchu, how we doing? This is the longest. This is the first time I've gone a week with very next to no communication. How are we doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Refreshing. Little break.
Wow.
No, I mean I did have a text queued up for you yesterday.
Stop it. That's
check on it, but I didn't know if you guys were in camp already. So
yeah. This dude said refreshing. That's not the point that I was trying to make. I was checking on you to make sure you weren't as douchebaggy as I thought.
Buddy, it's side A is the same as side B. I've come to the point in my life where this is what you get.
Hey, you just got me a quiet please shushed because they're.
I just ordered you an 8X. I just ordered you an 8X shirt for my 51st birthday, so people can actually see the funny shirt. So yeah.
He came back with jokes. Hey, on an offensive lineman note, man, I know you took the news about Teddy a little tougher than most. You texted me on Monday. What were your initial thoughts, man? Size thing, just take time to put the body together back together thing. Like, what were you thinking?
It's just it's a gut punch, right? It's tough because you want the kid to have the best opportunity, and everything was going in the right direction and stuff was good, and here we go. And then, that's the crazy thing about that game, man. You get a millimeter out of position and it's going to take it. So, if you look at the game of football, there really should be far more injuries than there are.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't go that way. And it's unfortunate. Me personally, I hope he really is like, hey, I'm going to apply for this medical and I'm going to and I don't even know if he can, and get this next year, and I'm going to finish this thing out. And even if he doesn't, that's okay too. But I want him to just have that chance to go out in a full season and play, so we can see what it's like. But yeah, it's just, like I say all the time, it's a mean game, man. It's just a mean game, and that's what's great about it, is it will make you harder than Chinese algebra. I mean, it just, if you can survive football, you can survive anything. Really, you can.
Yeah, Verghese, it's funny because you brought up something that most people don't talk about very often. It is kind of a miracle that more people don't get injured doing this, right? Like, I don't, the way you see people fall certain ways, or the amount of, collisions, and just seeing the fact that this doesn't happen more often. I mean, I don't know if we should be appreciative or what, but I guess we don't think about that very much because we're sort of desensitized to the violence of it a little bit. But it is, like, the fact that anybody gets out of a season unscathed is kind of incredible.
Especially at 6'10", 3.
I'm not even talking about the violence. I'm talking about the running, the cutting, the position your knees, your ankles, your hips are in.
Sure.
And more things aren't tearing as you do this. Yeah. The violence is the best. The violence is the awesome part. What the human body can go through, where it doesn't just like, nope, we're not making that cut. ACL gone.
Yeah.
Nope, we're not going to go that way. Your ankle just shattered. No, that's what's more amazing to me.
So at the next person up mentality is obviously a thing, man. But that O-line group is pretty tight knit, pretty good. I don't know if there's a good time to rally, but they're going to be put to the test here in a hurry.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been very fortunate to be around great coaches my whole life. One of them is Nick Danzy from Millard South, Millard West, and Scott. He says the phrase every day: opportunity for advancement. So we'll see who's been riding on high tide, right? You have a chance now. You were a 2, okay? A position I held my whole life. You were a 2. You now get the chance, the opportunity to advance and be a 1. Can you take advantage of said opportunity? Can you do this? This is all up to you. There's nobody else. Have you put in the work? Have you lifted all those GDN weights, as Bill Parcells says? Have you done extra technique stuff? Have you maintained your nutrition? This is your opportunity. Cue the Eminem song, right? This is what you've dreamed of. This is all that S you talked when you had somebody ahead of you. I beat him out. I'm better than him. I'm this. I'm that. Okay, big dog. There she be. Good luck. Let's see if your mouth can catch the check. Your body can catch the check your mouth wrote. It's awesome. And everybody out there that plays tackle for the University of Nebraska at Lincoln should be gunning for that spot. It should be the most competitive thing you've ever seen in your life.
So guys like Turner Corcoran, obviously, who's got a ton of starts under his belt. Gunnar Gatula obviously came up in the discussions. If you've seen so much of Corcoran, what would you work on? You know, you're coming back from rehab. You knew you were still kind of growing your game. What would you expect the modifications to be? I listened to last night, Nate Sudfeld, who's the backup quarterback in Detroit, said he tore his ACL, and he said he used that time to learn to process the game and to get better command of his decision-making by watching others. And you're in that position in your Corcoran, and now you're thrust right back into it, how would you have approached rehab outside of just getting your body back right?
The first thing, and I'm, as you know, I'm very petty. Everybody that's put anything anywhere that says that I can't play and I'm not this and I'm not that.
Shocker, that's where you went.
I would have those on a board, okay? I would say, dear old Nebraska, you, with all due respect, I don't want to go to your in-house psychologist kept man. Or woman, I don't want to talk to them. I'd go find somebody else. And I would say, hey, dog, we need to rewire my brain to get me into the badass MFer that showed up here. Okay? Because something's off a little bit. Something ain't quite right. And every morning I would have those on my mirror and I would look at them. And I would look at them by name. And as I went out and I played good and they wanted to come talk to me, I would be cordial and I would talk to them. And I'd say, you bet. Good to see you. Da-da-da. But in my head, I would be firing every cuss word I knew at them. And I would give the most shortest, concise responses ever. Because they, in their mind, they're talking to you because they have to. They're not talking to you because you did good. And then I would just use that, and that fire would just build and build and build and build and build. And then at the end, the last one, I just walk up and bam, middle finger. But I don't think it's anything physical with him. I think he's got to get back into that ass kicker mode. I think he's got to be that dude that everybody, when he first showed up, I mean, there was buzz like, man, this guy's nuts. This guy's crazy. Yeah, go back to crazy. Hop on board the crazy train, play Ozzy Osbourne, whatever you got to do. But go out, be that dude. And realize you're 13 away from it being over. I'm being generous and saying there's going to be a bowl game. But you're 13 away from it being done. So there is no tomorrow. So just play it that way. And if your teammates in practice don't like it, sometimes people got to throw hands in practice, because that's how I'm going to go the whole time. That's how I hope he attacks it.
Verz, is there enough crazy in that room right now?
I think there is. I think some of the young guys have that little different gear. And instead of it, I think sometimes, coaches, and I'm not calling anybody out, sometimes coaches like to squash that. I would rather have to pull you off of a pile than start you to get into the pile, to shove you into the pile. I can't say that because those weirdos in Hoover. But I would rather do that than have to look at you and say, hey, man, you need to hop in. You need to go protect your buddies. Like if it was one of the great things of practice, when practice got real intense back in the day, it may go down, but you better know where everybody else is. Like, you better have your head on a swivel. Now, the other psychos like that kid at App State that pulled the dude's helmet off and hit him in the head, like, that's just dumb. Like, you're just dumb. Like, you're a dumb person. You can't control your emotions, because you can fight and control your emotions.
Can't imagine those guys in Hoover keeping their job.
Buddy.
They just got there.
That was the most what is wrong with that school, too? Yeah, Rush Probst, who had a separate family. Hey, shout out to the Coudrans who are driving out to Colorado. Some of the nicest people in the world, but I don't know why they're driving. I'd have flown that bad boy, but different story for a different day.
All right, buddy.
Verz, we appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
You stopping by, Benito?
I'm not sure. I got to go get a prescription, but yeah, it's on the way.
I got 47 meetings at Westside today.
I already had 2 yesterday. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you got practice. You got to coordinate coaches' practice uniforms.
Wow. That's Hurrdat Sports Radio for the week. We'll be back on Monday.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.